morning. I will now call the March 1st San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. I want to note for the record, Supervisor Anderson is ill this morning and will not be joining us. We wish him a speedy recovery, and I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Before I call the roll, I would like to note for the record that all supervisors are participating via teleconference. As such, all votes will be handled by a roll call vote. With that, I'll now call the roll. Supervisor Lawson-Remer?
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond?
Here.
Vice Chair Vargas?
Vargas here.
And Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher here. We will be having this meeting virtually, but we look forward to seeing you all in person at our next Board of Supervisors meeting when we resume in-person meetings. But with this, let's get into our virtual meeting. We will begin with the invocation, and we are thrilled to be joined for the invocation this morning by Jamie Gates from Point Loma Nazarene University.
Chairman Fletcher, neighbors, let's pray. Gracious God, you're the God of all peoples. I thank you for the Kumeyaay and all the first peoples to whom you gifted this land and on whose shoulders we now stand. Show us, dear God, how to best acknowledge this debt. Gracious God, you are a God of peace, and we pause this morning at a moment where Russian bombs are dropping in Ukraine, where Russian troops are trying to overrun the Ukrainian defense forces all the way to the capital city, at the command of a despotic leader bent on war and destruction. We have many military families in San Diego. We know the stakes of war intimately. We see the potential for greater carnage, and we are on edge. Please bring this conflict to a swift and just end, and prepare us all for the long journey for the healing of peoples and economies and nations following this war. Help us to be hospitable to anyone fleeing violence as they seek shelter here in San Diego. Gracious God, you are a God of wholeness and healing, and we have been through a tough couple of years of a pandemic that has impacted every aspect of life. We are tired, and our patience with one another is too thin. We are mourning many that we have lost along the way and that are still sick. You are a God that mourns with us, and you call us to mourn with one another. We are also grateful for the increasing signs that the pandemic is lifting. We ask that you would give continued guidance in making wise decisions related to the pandemic. We ask in particular for a special blessing and wisdom for our political leaders, our healthcare leaders, our teachers, administrators in our schools, and our first responders who have to make important decisions for the common good. And Lord, give us all patience to be more kind to one another in the process of the ongoing changes in our health environment. Gracious God, you're a God of justice, and you bend the arc of the universe towards justice. We give thanks and we pray for the people of our county who are currently unhoused. We thank you for them as they teach us how resilient we can be. Their lives push us to learn where the weaknesses in our social safety nets are. And so we give thanks for the city leaders and the hundreds of generous volunteers who help to count and interview people living on the streets and in tents and in hideaways and in their cars this past week. May we use this information to act with greater justice and mercy for the unhoused. We know, gracious God, that given the right circumstances, it could be any one of us sleeping on the streets. And finally, gracious God, you are God of wisdom. We remember that we have tasked our County Board of Supervisors with crafting policies and directing funding to guide various functions of the county that benefit the common good. Would you put your hand on the shoulders of Nathan Fletcher, Nora Vargas, Tara Lawson-Remer, Joel Anderson, and Jim Desmond this week, and guide them in the decision-making they are about to commence. Even as they have in their minds the particular constituents they represent and the issues they care about most, would you continue to give them the kind of wisdom that is for the common good, and in particular help them make decisions that are first and foremost for the good of those most vulnerable in our midst. We give all you the glory to God for what is to be accomplished. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you for that prayer. And just a note, as a county, we stand in solidarity with the Ukrainian people, denouncing the violence, denouncing the war, the aggression that is taking place, and send all of our thoughts and prayers and support to those that are being impacted by this needless violence. And we thank you so much for the very thoughtful prayer. We will now go to what I think is perhaps our favorite part of the meeting. The Pledge of Allegiance will be delivered by Haley Friedell's second grade class from Lemon Grove Academy Elementary. We welcome all of the second graders for joining our Board of Supervisors meeting, and we ask you to lead our county in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Put your right hand over your heart Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a wonderful day at school. Thank you for starting our meeting. We will now proceed with our proclamations. I will give the first proclamation honoring San Diego Community Birth Centers, and accepting this proclamation will be Nikki Helms. On the first day of Women's History Month, I'm honored to recognize San Diego Community Birth Centers, founded and led by the fierce licensed midwife, Nikki Helms. Freestanding birth centers provide the opportunity for families to take a different approach, more holistic, educated, engaged their birth experience with supporting professional, specialized, and highly trained and licensed midwives. In 2014, Nikki Helms recognized the need for a birth center that would serve every one out there, regardless of their race, their sexual orientation, their immigration status, someone that would engage people in culturally competent and relevant ways to help facilitate them through this at times stressful but also incredibly wonderful part of their life. In 2020, at the peak of the pandemic, Nikki decided to launch a GoFundMe page, putting community in the San Diego Community Birth Center, and the community came through, raising over $150,000 to help launch this birth center. It's a testament to the tremendous leadership of Nikki. I had the opportunity to come out and tour and spend some time. And she is not only the founder of San Diego Birth Center, she is an active participant in what they do. A leader we know rallies people around them, and Nikki does just that. She brings other folks along with her to help serve families and invest in the lives of the clients and the patients and the folks who come into her life. And she works tirelessly to ensure the birth center and its nonprofit foundation are well situated to serve the needs of the San Diego County. And so I am so pleased Nikki could join us today. We could celebrate and uplift and honor her work, and hereby want it proclaimed by myself and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors the first day of March 2022, that we commend San Diego Community Birth Centers for your significant contribution to the health and wellness of community residents, and do hereby proclaim this day to be San Diego Community Birth Centers Day throughout San Diego County. Nikki, the floor is yours.
I'm so excited. Oh, thank you so very much. I am so honored. And, like you said, I could not have done this alone. So with the support of my community and my family and colleagues and other midwives in the county, I have been able to come this far. So I continue to work, I continue to fight, I continue to help, and I continue to be honored and blessed by the community that supports my work. So thank you so much, Chair Fletcher and the rest of the members of the board. I'm very honored and I'm very grateful, and I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you for joining us today. Our next proclamation will be given by Vice Chair Nora Vargas, honoring Women's History Month, and accepting this proclamation will be our friend Ramla Saeed. Vice Chair Vargas.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Today marks the beginning of Women's History Month, a celebration during the month of March that serves as a time to honor the contributions and achievements of women throughout the world, as well as recognizing the vital role in our country's history. The first Women's History celebration happened here in California in 1978. As more communities throughout our country adopted celebrations to highlight incredible women's history, what became known as the National Women's History Alliance successfully lobbied the federal government to recognize Women's History Week in 1980, followed by Congress establishing Women's History Month in 1987. For too long, women were formally excluded from full participation in our society and in democracy. Unfortunately, we continue to see women's rights under attack despite countless efforts by so many brave and bold women who have sacrificed the strive to ensure all women have an equal shot at pursuing the American dream. Although significant progress has been made towards achieving gender equity, we still have much work to do. Women still earn on average less for every dollar made by men, and there are additional challenges still faced by women and girls of color who consistently face wider opportunity gaps and barriers to success. A majority of our country's colleges, and graduate students are women. However, we are still underrepresented in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, government, and business. We must continue to strive to build the future we want our children to inherit, a future where their dreams are not denied despite their gender, where they're uplifted and encouraged to achieve their dreams. In honor of Women's History Month, I'm really proud to present a proclamation honoring 6 community organizations who day in, day out continue to uplift women of color and trans women in social, political, and cultural spaces in San Diego County and the region. Today, we reflect on recognizing the work that organizations like Asian Solitary Collective, BAPAC, Mana de San Diego, PANA, Rainbow Spaces, and the Center do to honor and celebrate women and their contributions. So it be proclaimed by all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this first day of March 2022 that we commend these organizations across San Diego County for their outstanding service, their leadership, and commitment to elevating women, and do hereby declare San Diego County to observe March as Women's History Month. So joining me today to accept this proclamation, as it was mentioned, our good friend representing this coalition and organizations, please welcome from the Partnership of the Advancement of the New Americans, Executive Director, Ramla Saeed. Welcome.
Hello and good morning. Thank you so much, Supervisor Nora, for this beautiful honor. I appreciate your efforts, all of your efforts as supervisors who are working to ensure San Diego is a place where our newcomer, refugee, immigrant, Muslim, and all families feel a sense of home and belonging in our region at such an important time in the world, considering what's going on. At PANA, we fight to advance the full economic, social, and civic inclusion of refugees in the San Diego region, throughout California, and across the country. And PANA's priority issues consistently center around the fight for affordable housing, equity, and inclusion. And we know at the heart of that fight are our women, our girls, our families. And I thank you for this honor and for having me this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ramla, and thank you, Vice Chair Vargas. Great to have you join us today. Our next proclamation will be from Supervisor Lawson Reamer, honoring Cheryl Wilson. And accepting this proclamation will be Cheryl Wilson.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Fletcher. It is my honor to co-present the following proclamation with my colleague, Supervisor Anderson, who is unfortunately not able to join us this morning. Cheryl Wilson has been the CEO of St. Paul Senior Services for 32 years. She has dedicated her career to the care of seniors and served as a strong advocate for their access to housing, food, and financial security. She launched several impactful programs, such as the Intergenerational Program, which brings seniors and children together, and the program of All Inclusive for the Elderly, which helps underserved and low-income seniors. She's now retiring, but her impact will continue to be felt in our region. I am so proud to co-present this proclamation, and I know Supervisor Anderson also appreciates all the work you have done to support our most vulnerable in our region. On behalf of the County of San Diego and the Board of Supervisors, it is my honor to proclaim March 1st as Cheryl Wilson Day throughout San Diego County. Thank you for your service and your commitment to our region. I will now turn it over to Cheryl for her remarks.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Lawson-Reamer, and thank you to Supervisor Anderson also for recognizing the good work that I've been able to do, but only through the auspices of St. Paul Senior Services, one of the many wonderful nonprofits in San Diego serving seniors and, in fact, our general community throughout. I also want to thank you all for sending your representatives to the San Diego Senior Alliance meetings, because through them, not only can we share with you and your office what is going on at, where the rubber hits the road, where we actually serve our populations, our seniors, but also we hear from your representatives what's going on in your office and how we might be able to support your good work. One of those areas is homeless housing, and I thank Supervisor Lawson-Reamer for her good work in helping us to bring on several programs in your district that we just opened this past year to serve homeless seniors, the fastest growing group of homeless people in San Diego County at this time. I just want to also thank you for prioritizing seniors Seniors are the lifeblood of any community because they not only have the history, but they have created the community that they now leave to folks who are younger to carry on the good work. They should not be forgotten, and their good work for decades of their life should not be forgotten, and they should be recognized and cared about and cared for. So continue, please, if you would, to prioritize seniors. And also, if you see the beach behind me, this is where I live in Imperial Beach. And if there's anything you can do to help us clean up the sewage problems, we would be most grateful. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Cheryl. And I know Vice Chair Vargas is on that top priority, so thank you. Our next proclamation will be from Supervisor Lawson Reamer, honoring the San Diego County Office of Education Quality Preschool Initiative. Accepting this proclamation will be Dr. Paul Gothold. And Dr. Gothold, I know Supervisor Lawson Reamer is going to recognize you for this, but as a county, we appreciate all you all have done over the last few years. It's been difficult, and we're grateful for you and your team and your work. But let's turn it over to Supervisor Lawson Reamer to talk about this particular reason we're grateful for you.
Thank you so much, Chair Fletcher. It is my honor to present the following proclamation to the San Diego County Office of Education Quality Preschool Initiative. As you all know, I'm the mom of a 2.5-year-old, a preschooler, so this initiative is near and dear to my heart, and it's truly fantastic. There are more than 150,000 children under the age of 5 who need quality early childcare and preschool in San Diego County. This means we need a workforce in San Diego who can meet this critical need and support our youngest minds to flourish. The San Diego Quality Preschool Initiative provides coaching, professional development, and other support to create a system of continuous quality educational improvement for the care of all children from birth to 5 who attend an early learning and care program that participates in SDQPI. Today, thanks to the support of First 5 San Diego and the Commission under the leadership of Chair Fletcher, the San Diego Quality Preschool Initiative is providing free tuition to early education providers employed by an SDQPI site and attending Grossmont College and Cuyamaca College. This is vital to helping to increase the pool of qualified early learning and care providers. Thank you for the work you are doing. During these challenging times, we all appreciate your investment and your leadership to support working parents and the future of San Diego, as well as to ensure that we can support young people in building careers in early childhood education without graduating with crushing debt. On behalf of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors and my office, it is my honor to declare March 1st through March 8th, 2022, to be San Diego Quality Preschool Initiative Week throughout San Diego County. It is just such a fantastic initiative for both young people and under 5s. We are joined by County Superintendent Paul Gothold, who will be accepting this proclamation on behalf of the SDCOE Quality Preschool Initiative. Paul?
Thank you so much, Supervisor Lawson Reamer. What an honor and privilege to have the proclamation right here. You hit on all the really important points for discussion. I mean, what an honor to partner with Learn Well San Diego and San Diego County for this important initiative. And as mentioned, access to affordable and high quality childcare was under strain prior to the pandemic, and those challenges only accelerated facing our quality childcare system. And, currently, as mentioned, there are 150,000 children under the age of 5 who need quality early care and preschool in San Diego County. But unfortunately, there are not enough spaces for all of our children. And more, we are also seeing childcare providers leaving the field for other opportunities because the labor shortage in so many different areas, which also limits our capacity of childcare programs because we don't have adequate staff. So in response to this, we partnered with First 5 San Diego, Grossmont College, Cuyamaca College to offer free tuition for our instructional aides currently employed at any of our SDQPI early learning and care sites in order to move into the much needed teaching positions at sites throughout the county. And through this partnership, employees can complete their AA degree in child development. All tuition costs, books, even a computer will be paid for. It's just a great way to increase the pool of qualified early learning and care providers, and in turn, providing more spaces for children needing care. We know through the research and experience the first 5 years of a child's life are critical in their development. The more opportunities they have in high quality educational settings, better they will be prepared for kindergarten and their future. That's why all of us at San Diego County Office of Education are thankful for the support of the County San Diego and First 5 San Diego. So on behalf of the County Board of Education, our Early Education Department leader, Lucia Gray, I want to thank you again for your continued commitment to our youngest learners and the people who serve them. Thank you so much.
And thank you. I mean, honestly, I just am so excited about the work you're doing on this, really creating opportunities for people to graduate with a degree that really can give back to our community that would not be accessible otherwise, because it's so expensive to go to school, and these are not positions that pay well, but they make such a huge difference in the lives of so many. And certainly my daughter is grateful as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Our final proclamation today will be from Supervisor Jim Desmond, honoring Lori Gonzalez. And accepting this proclamation will be Lori Gonzalez. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is on behalf of National Women's History Month, honoring Lori Gonzalez. The Rincon Band of Luiseño Indians occupies 5,000-acre reservation in Valley Center. They were established in 1875, and the Rincon Band is a sovereign government recognized by the United States of America, with ancestors dating back over 10,000 years, with a resilient cultural heritage. Today, we are recognizing Lori E. Gonzalez in honor of National Women's History Month, who is serving her 6th term of office on the Rincon Tribal Council. Lori's background in public relations has brought a wealth of expertise in entrepreneurship, corporate business, and passion for culture and the living legacies of the Luiseño Indians in San Diego County. Her motivation to preserve the tribal past includes protecting archaeological artifacts of the Luiseño people, and has led to the creation of the Luiseño Cultural Resources Advisory Group, a new voice in the cultural arena. As recently as last month, the monumental dragonfly basket, a sacred object which has been passed down through generations and serves as the seal of the Rincon tribe, will be housed on their reservation due to Lori Gonzalez's efforts and the council's partnership with the university system. Whereas the County of San Diego, we're always committed to honoring those individuals who are dedicated to the best ideals of public service, and Lori Gonzalez is one of those such worthy individuals. So be it proclaimed by all members of San Diego County Board of Supervisors that on this first day of March 2022, the beginning of the National Women's History Month, that we commend Lori Gonzalez for her contribution and commitment to the Rincon tribe of Luiseño Indians cultural heritage, and do hereby declare today to be Lori E. Gonzalez Day throughout San Diego County. So Lori, would you like to say a few words about your works and your effort?
Yes, I would. And I would like to acknowledge I have my chairman, Bo Mazzetti, here with me, and my vice chair, Tishmal Turner. I want to thank you so much, Supervisor Desmond, and the entire Board of Supervisors. It's an amazing honor to accept this. You know, I love serving my tribe and being involved in repatriation, preservation, and sharing our culture. As San Diego County, and specifically North County, continues to grow through new development, preservation of our culture is imperative because it adds so much to the richness and diversity that is San Diego. I'm so honored that we got our basket back, and it took years. The whole council helped to get this basket back where it belongs. It's a symbol of our government and so important to our people. And when we get it properly displayed, I hope all of you can come out and view it. We are so proud. You know, another thing I wanted to say is I can't imagine living anywhere else in North County. And I had to give credit to the Board of Supervisors for that, because You guys are so dedicated. You ensure that San Diego is a great place to work, to live, to raise a family, where I raised mine. And it's where our people, like you said, the Lasagno, have lived for over 10,000 years. And God willing, we'll be here for thousands more to come. Thank you for this great honor. I am so grateful.
Lori, thank you very much, and thanks for all the great work that you and the Lasagno people have done at being a part of the culture of San Diego County, and just thank you very much for all your efforts.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Supervisor Desmond. Next on the agenda is non-agendized public communication, an opportunity for the public to address the board on matters that are within our jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. The only action we may take as a board is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. A reminder, according to Rule 4A, members of the public who are not speaking and need interpretation assistance will be afforded additional time to better facilitate. We will allow 10 speakers via phone, and the rest will be taken when we resume our meeting. With that, let me ask the clerk to call forward up to 10 public speakers.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 18 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda. For those that requested to speak, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. Again, as the chair indicated, we'll be hearing from the first 10 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I would remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller. Again, please state your name for the audio record.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to, I'm wondering, where do you guys find these people who pray for you? It's like, who are they praying to, honestly? But I wanted to make my own proclamation because I know you guys, none of you will ever do it. I wanted to honor all the people who are there paying close attention to what you Board of Supervisors are in fact doing, whose agendas you're fulfilling. It's a shame to hear a Native sister speaking like a true indoctrinated slave. It's like, honestly, where do you find these people? I'd like to honor Audra Morgan. Let's do that. It's Women's History Month or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. All these days, all these holidays you guys got to victimize people and to make them, feel inferior. You know, it's a shame that people have to, constantly pay attention. The few people that are paying attention have to, be deemed bad or conspiracy theorists or paranoid. But we know what you're doing. We get what you're doing. We see right through you, and we're going to be there week after week. So since schools and everything else is opening up, when do we get to come back to the chambers? Are you guys afraid of us? Is that what's happening? Anyways, that's all I have to say. I'll be there in a minute.
Thank you. Now hear from my next caller.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Gordon. I want to share with you a new study from the University of California at San Francisco showing smoking marijuana produces a dangerous level of particulate matter. Inhaling heated marijuana produces a level equal to those seen with conventional tobacco cigarette smoking. The research team found smoking, vaping, or even dabbing uses heat to create an aerosol, which the user then inhales. Aerosol is nothing more than air that contains a substance. In this case, it would be marijuana oil that creates a fine particle just like smoke does. These fine particles can damage lungs and cause heart disease. The negative impacts of secondhand smoke are well documented. The researchers noted that in a healthy non-smoker, even 30 minutes of exposure to cigarette smoke increases the risk of heart attack and death. I applaud the Board of Supervisors for their ban on flavored tobacco. I would hope this board would have the same concern with marijuana smoke. with its increasingly popular alternative to like cigarette smoking. It's important that we fully understand the risk involved in smoking marijuana to ourselves and those around us, especially with the misconception that marijuana is somehow assumed to be a safer product. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from our next caller.
Hello, this is Kelly McCormick. I'm a public health educator focusing on youth alcohol, tobacco, and drug prevention. I would like to bring attention to the impact of third-hand smoke on children. Third-hand smoke is the residue of nicotine and other chemicals left on indoor surfaces. This residue reacts with other pollutants to create a toxic mix of hazardous cancer-causing compounds. And children are most susceptible because they crawl and play on the floor and furniture while frequently touching their hands to their mouths. By screening more than 500 children under age 11, Cincinnati Children's Hospital found that 97% had evidence of nicotine on their hands. Perhaps even more surprising, more than 95% of the children from non-smoking households were still found to have nicotine on their hands. There is no safe level of exposure to these toxicants. This study inspired a poem called Lingering Smoke by Sam Illingworth. I would like to share it with you now. Stubborn stains swirl across the room as yellowed rugs and mottled drapes swish callously in stifling drafts of vice. Surfaces soaked forever in the selfish wisps of memories long since lost. Children crawl through our exhaust, faultless little fingers casting filthy shadows in the sticky remnants of abandoned haze. Smoke on their hands to match the blood on ours. Please think of the effects that nicotine and marijuana smoke is having on our youngest and most vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from our next caller.
Alana Cotton, quotes from world-renowned doctors. Dr. Shankara Chetty, our body has a beautiful mechanism to repair with the BRCA protein. Now, with the spike protein injuring this mechanism, you're going to have injuries that make cells non-viable. So our cells are not going to have the ability to rejuvenate and repair. Those cells that are damaged and remain viable, that means can divide, they will be damaged enough to become cancers, and so we're going to see an explosion of cancers that we've never encountered before. Same with the explosion of autoimmune conditions. When you tamper with DNA itself, the basis of our human existence, we're treading on very, very thin ground. Dr. Peter McCullough, the suppression of early treatment was very intentional to promote fear, suffering, hospitalization, and death in order to get the population to accept mass vaccination. One is far more likely to die from the vaccine than with the respiratory illness. Dr. Ryan Cole, most of kids have already had COVID. And do you give a shot to someone who's already COVID recovered and has immunity? No, why not? Because it increases your risk for adverse reactions 2 to 4 times. Dr. Robert Malone, your risk of getting infected and developing COVID-19 disease from Omicron increases with the number of vaccine shots you received. Anybody that's purveying misinformation or disinformation is a domestic terrorist if the information that they're putting forth causes people to have concerns about the government. This is full-on propaganda, censorship, and information warfare. Finally, President Trump. So to all of those who think that they can coerce and subjugate the citizens of this land, hear these words from me. The people of America will not surrender our borders. We will not surrender our culture. We will not surrender our faith. We will not surrender our values. We will not surrender our history. We will not surrender our liberty. And above all, we will not surrender our children to a small band of bullies and extremists who want to tell everyone else what to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Mary D. here. I wanted to make you aware of some issues affecting public access to the Board of Supervisors meetings and business. The technology that the county uses to give the public access to agendas, documents, and commenting is very glitchy. I get frequent white label error messages, and Granicus is painfully slow in playing archived meetings. And yes, I have tried different browsers. Additionally, your current platform does not let the public see the supervisors throughout BOS meetings. This is essentially a denial of public access. Most other government entities put the council or board members in the sidebar so that the public can truly be engaged and can see for themselves that they are actually being heard when they speak, as well as see those listener reactions. I'm asking the county to please up its game when it comes to equity, access, accountability, engagement, and compliance. The public deserves no less. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from our next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Carol Green, and over the past few months, I've listened to proposals about an ordinance regarding the commercialization of marijuana businesses throughout the county. I've heard several presentations about the ordinance, and I've gone to as many webinars as I can to get information. When I've asked the question, which seems obvious, why do we need more businesses? I've been told that if there are enough regulated businesses and they're regulated properly, it will drive out the black market. This is an opinion, and it is prevalent, but it just seems to be accepted. When I've asked specifically for the data or evidence that this is true, no one seems to be able to give me this. And even county staff members have told me that there isn't any viable, conclusive evidence. During a recent meeting, I asked and was directly told that there wasn't evidence. On January 14, 2022, an article in Politico, not a necessarily right-wing leaning magazine, talked about the cluster F, why legal weed isn't killing the black market. An extensive look at how the black market continues to thrive alongside the permitted market. And according to the 2019 study, the Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, the black market is more robust than ever. The black market has moved away from the much smaller clandestine operation and operates almost open and in an open, notorious operation. The problem here is complex. The arguments are circular. The argument keeps being made that increasing the businesses will lower the non-permitted businesses, but this just isn't true. We need to find the data and figure out how to deal with this properly. It's a circular argument with no benefit to results, and what we continue to do is reduce any guardrails that are put in place to protect our children as we capitulate to a for-profit big business that makes money addicting our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller. From the next caller, Luke Weingarten, your device might be muted. We'll come back to you.
Good morning. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I'm a mother of 3 young adults. I came here today, excuse me, because I know that school districts across the county have dealt all this school year with indications of mental health struggles of its students, including threats of violence and bullying by students to each other. And recently, the most severe form of mental health struggles, another student suicide. As the superintendent wrote, and I quote, "This is a tragedy for a family and a community. Personal and mental health resources have been deployed to schools where the student may have had friends. Moreover, the district is working on a comprehensive plan to address the mental health challenges that our students are facing. We will get ahead of this, but it will take time, dedicated resources, and a commitment from everyone. It is this commitment to which I'd like to speak. We need the Board of Supervisors to make a commitment to youth who need clear messages regarding how best to handle problems that are not short-term solutions. In other words, drugs are never the answer. Not alcohol, not tobacco, not marijuana, or abuse of prescription drugs. I would respectfully suggest that the Board of Supervisors' adaptation of a ban on the sale of flavored tobacco products in 2020 was a tremendous prevention message and showed a respect for and an understanding of youth and their stressors. Now would be the perfect time to add a ban of flavored marijuana products to the ban. This would show your commitment to prevention and to our youth. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Audra, what's up, Tyrant? Oh, actually, I should call you domestic terrorist. Anyway, I love that you guys want to keep us out because it's obvious, like other people have mentioned, that you don't want to show us your faces or prove that you are actually listening to the people because you aren't. And you prove that when we're actually in the meeting. But speak for yourself, Nathan, when you say you speak with Ukraine. Maybe you should do a little bit more research. Anyway, I love, Nora, that you are talking about women and that we need to have equal rights, and it's just so important. All while you guys do these things to people in the county, you know, make them lose their jobs, abuse children by making them wear masks and get vaccines. You know, you even let them come and do the pledge, and it's so sad to look at them in those masks. And, you know, I can't wait for the day that you guys actually have them on there without them instead of, you know, basically supporting child abuse. People need to realize that these children are being endangered, and you should be filing reports with the police for endangerment. You should also be filing as a mandated reporter like teachers are. We should all mandatedly report the child abuse that's going on in the schools with the teachers and everything. And also you guys have bonds. So I suggest that everybody go after your bonds, because as soon as you have enough complaints, you guys no longer can work. And that is exactly what we need, because you know what? You're doing that to everybody else. And sometimes you have to learn the hard way because you guys don't care about what you're doing to the people in the county. You want to, you know, push all of this BS that's acting like you're doing something for the people when in fact you're destroying everybody's lives and you don't give a damn. And so, you know, looks like you guys need to feel that too.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp. I'm a parent and public health educator. On February 8th, I shared with you an experience I had while buying cookies at a local cookie store with my children called Cookie Plug. I was shocked to learn they had started selling CBD-infused cookies, matching the original cookie flavors they have always sold. I bring this situation up again as I have recently learned a new term I would like to share with you: cannabis baiting. Cannabis baiting is the use or reference to marijuana being sold at a business. The business will advertise to make you think they're a marijuana seller when in fact they sell no products with THC. This type of advertising is very attractive to young people. Cookie Plug play off marijuana culture to give the illusion of being an underground marijuana seller. The names of their cookies reference pot strains, and they package their products in containers similar to those that can be found in a marijuana store. According to Cookie Plug's detox menu, featuring a healthier line of cookies, such as keto and gluten-free options, they advertise that you can mix and match different cookies with assorted drug use themes. 3 cookies would be called experimental, 7 cookies would be regular use and abuse, 12 cookies would be addiction, and a box of 24 cookies would be called dependency. All terms are about drug use and addiction. Businesses like this cookie store simulating marijuana should not be permissible. This normalization of marijuana products not only decreases the perception of harm to adolescents, but to our young children, like elementary-age children who are curious about flavors when buying cookies at a local cookie shop. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the last caller.
Luke Weingarten.
Please proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
I'm here to redress my grievance about your unconstitutional censorship of my comment at the February 8th, 2022 County of San Diego Board of Supervisors meeting, which is available on YouTube. I made a public comment at 55 minutes and 6 seconds expressing how absurd the indefensible narrative you have maintained about ghost guns is. To summarize briefly, because criminals don't obey your laws and bought as many 3D printers as possible while backing up programs to produce the very best guns endlessly, your banning of ghost guns is illogical and will not prevent violent crime. It will only keep our good citizens from being able to defend their families inexpensively and easily. Since gun violence has increased more in poorer areas since your draconian lockdowns have destroyed 40% of our businesses, this will disproportionately affect poor people's ability to protect themselves and their families the most. This place is my only chance to rephrase and again respectfully ask a question. What do you suggest a person does when 3 criminals with state-of-the-art illegal guns invade their family's home and their 10-round clip quickly runs out of bullets? Criminals aren't going to wait for a father or mother to reload before they do whatever horrible things real criminals might do to their family and household. So what should us regular citizens who cannot afford or legally own the guns your supervisors' families have protecting them do when our 10-round clip runs out? I posted this honest, respectful question more accurately at 55 minutes and 6 seconds in your meeting on February 8th, 2022, which is available on YouTube, which was censored with a blackout at 56 minutes and 24 seconds. It was also censored with color bars on the county's .gov website. My comment was not hateful or improper in any way. Your unconstitutional censorship erased my very important question, thereby making any reasonable discussion or airing of my constitutionality-protected right to petition the government for a redress of grievances impossible. The right to freedom of speech allows people to express themselves without government interference or regulation, which you have clearly violated. With this censorship, you broke your oath of office to uphold our Constitution. Nevertheless, I doubt our District Attorney, Summer Stephen, will request a motion to remove you from office for breaking it. It's sad and unacceptable that our District Attorney may feel uncomfortable or unable to perform or hear.
Thank you. For the remaining callers that requested to speak on a matter not listed on the agenda, please hang up and call back at the conclusion of the session. Chair Fletcher, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning.
All right, next on the agenda is approval of the statement of proceedings minutes for the regular meeting of February 8th, 2022. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by myself, second by Vice Chair Vargas. Ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
We will now proceed with the formation of the consent calendar. Members of the public will have an opportunity to comment on the totality of the consent calendar, but let's first go to supervisors and see if there are any items that they wish removed or comments that they wish to make. We'll start with Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Thank you so much. I have a number of comments and a couple items, but no items to pull. Should I go ahead and make my remarks now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Great. Thank you so much. And also, Chair Fletcher, thank you so much for your efficiency in our meetings. This is just really well run, and I think we're doing great. So I just want to first comment on item 3, which I think is a great, an absolutely great initiative to really empower our staff to have a voice in the values in our workplace. You know, and I do think it's important to note that my intent in supporting this item today is to ensure that staff, not just as individuals, but also as a collective organized body, you know, through their organized bargaining units, also have the power to weigh in on the recommendations and have a seat at the table as these recommendations are put together. So just wanted the minute order to reflect that intent. And I very much look forward to supporting this item today. So that's on item 3. On item 8, you know, I just really want to thank county staff for your incredible work in advancing this initiative. I think you're making great progress. I think it's clear that our county is now on the way to becoming a national leader in delivering effective and efficient services to improve the lives of San Diegans. You know, I think we all agree that it's not enough to pass policies that look and sound good. Results matter, and we need to measure our results so we can learn from setbacks and scale up successes. And I think that this initiative moves us very far forward in that direction. And again, thank you so much to county staff for your work in moving this forward. And then my final comments are on item 9. I just really want to thank Vice Chair Vargas for her leadership in initiating this item, as well as the Treasurer Tax Collector in promptly and thoughtfully putting together a proposal that I strongly support. And I think this is very historic that we're taking action as a board to say we're not going to be investing in any more industries that profit from destroying our planet, from profit on the backs of climate change, profit on the backs of really, mortgaging our future for future generations, and that we're really going to say no to that and stop those investments in fossil fuels. This is something I've been working on, as you all know, for a very long time. In terms of fossil fuel divestment, really since I was about 19. And so it's just such an honor to be able to support this initiative and vote for this. And I think it's quite historic. So I'll be proud to support that today.
Thank you. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to pull item 10. And then on item 9, I have a comment. I'm actually concerned with the precedent item 9 could set. This precedent of involving ourselves, politicians, in the investment, in an independent investment process. I think it perhaps jeopardizes the valuable tax dollars from hardworking San Diegans. I understand that there currently aren't any investments in the categories that are being excluded, so I'll support today, but I just, kind of keep an eye out for this. I think it's a slippery slope that with taxpayers, would have to make up any unintended consequences on earnings if we get too far down into the weeds or we start meddling too much in an independent investment process. So I'll be voting in support just primarily because there aren't any investments in the current categories. But I would like to pull item 10. And I'll make a motion to approve the balance.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor. Vice Chair Vargas.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I'm really thrilled about bringing item number 3. I have 3 items that I'm going to just have comments on. But item number 3, I'm thrilled about because for me, a sense of belonging and inclusion has been at the core of my advocacy throughout my life and my career, and whether it be to help our communities as an advocate or as part of various organizations advocating for improvements to the workforce experience. For me, our employees are the heart and soul of our county organization, and we have nearly 19,000 strong team of dedicated public servants working every day to have a positive impact on our community. In most recent years, team members who have focused on excellent program and service delivery during the difficult times of a global pandemic. They have risked their health, had changes to their work environments, have dealt with family and childcare issues, and faced financial concerns, and yet they haven't missed a beat in working for the greater good of our region while managing incredibly heavy workloads and personal obligations. Earlier this year, our county board supported our reimagined general management system and strategic plan that puts employment, investment, and satisfaction at the forefront. And so for me, as we continue to foster the sense of belonging for our employees, it must be based on the foundation of genuine and open dialogue. Safe spaces where we are engaging our employees in meaningful ways to get their feedback on what they need to be supported and successful. And once we get the feedback, we need to take steps to make those improvements where needed. Our county organization is an amazing place and a lot of great things are happening. At the forefront of our culture is the One County team. And to embody the sense of teamwork, inclusion, innovation, and excellent customer experience, we need to listen to our team members and help them achieve greater heights in a positive work environment. It has been great working with the Department of Health and Human Services, Human Resources, to learn more about the things that we already are doing to support our employees. And there's a lot of positive things happening. For example, DHR will be conducting employee engagement surveys. However, the actions before you today take us a little bit further than that. After each of the surveys are conducted, an enterprise report is going to be provided so that the board not only sees the results of the surveys, but based on the feedback, that we're going to have an opportunity to see what the evaluation of organizational strengths, opportunities of improvement with timelines for recommended changes, and budget implications, if any. County staff at all levels of the organization will be encouraged to engage, to create workplace guideline principles, and implement measures to achieve positive workplace experiences. And we have heard our employees loud and clear that are represented and unrepresented will be at the table, and they will work closely to create these principles. As a board, we will receive information on how the workplace guiding principles are being integrated into our employee engagement efforts. And we're going to receive information after each survey to measure improvements and employee satisfaction. All of this because in order for us to ask for our employees to provide the excellence to those that come to our county for services, we have to make sure we take care of our own. Our team members are our most treasured asset. So I'm really asking all of our, my colleagues to support us through this effort as we only strive for cultural excellence, but one of fairness and trust. With that, I'm going to ask everybody to support this measure. And then on item number 9, I want to make sure that, this is something that I've long lived, that responsible investing requires that consideration of long-term environmental consequences, and that's why I was proposing that we create a policy to divest from fossil fuels. I want to thank the treasurer and his staff for being so thoughtful and reasoned in their approach. And so I'm really grateful that we're doing this. This is really important for us. And then on number 10, I just want to thank my colleagues for all the work that's been done around this work. This ordinance is extremely important, and I think as government, we have a responsibility for the unincorporated communities. I think it's our duty to advocate for fair and equitable labor standards that protect and invest our working families as well. And so I'm really grateful for that, and thank you for that work.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vice Chair Vargas. I just want to echo the support on your item on number 3. This is important. It's good. It's being brought forward. As a board, we appreciate our county workers. They're the ones who make it all happen. They're the ones who help unsheltered individuals, who serve foster care, who ensure we have parks and playgrounds, and all of the things that we do as a county would not be possible if it were not for our county workers. And so anything we can do to make sure that they have an environment and that they feel supported and encouraged is only going to be right by them and be right by the taxpayers. An efficient, healthy workforce is one that is better at serving the public and fulfilling our mission. And so I commend you for bringing this forward and fully support it. Same on item 9, getting us down a path of really embracing putting our money where our values are. I think is the right thing to do. And I want to thank, in particular, our treasurer tax collector, Dan McAllister, who is with us here today in our board meeting. Dan, we appreciate you and your team and the work that's gone on to this. And I really view this as much an extension of our climate action plan, our regional decarbonization framework, everything else that we're doing. And so really appreciate Vice Chair Vargas initiating this and getting forward. And a special thank you to Dan McAllister and their team for helping move this forward. With that, we have a motion and a second to approve the items on the consent calendar, minus item 10, which will be moved to discussion. Let me ask the clerk to call forward the public speakers, and then we'll come back and vote.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 15 requests to speak by phone on matters listed on the consent calendar. Also note for the record that we did not receive any e-comments on the totality of the consent calendar. Any members of the public that requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the audio record. Now remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
Tim Macedo. Good morning, Supervisor Fletcher and Board of Supervisors. My name is Tim Macedo. I am a county employee at the El Cajon Family Resource Center. I'm calling today to thank Supervisor Vargas as well as to support the Stronger Together initiative. In my 5 years as a county employee, I have seen change, especially in this past year. In my department's culture. However, there is still so much that needs to be done. This initiative tells management that the board expects their employees to be treated with respect, dignity, and equity, not just because it is good business practice, but it is the right thing to do. County employment can be extremely stressful. Frequently, we deal with customers who are in economic, mental, or physical distress, all while dealing with our own economic issues, as 80% of the SEIU classifications have been documented as underpaid. In addition to economic issues, county employees frequently deal with microaggressions, hostile work environments, sexual harassment, and discrimination. I feel the initiative's outcome says it best: when employees feel respected and cared for, and when they have a sense of belonging and opportunities to learn and grow, it promotes outcomes that are good for employees, their colleagues, business, and customers. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Mary D. here. I'm calling to speak on item 9. While this divestment measure looks good on paper, it actually potentially hurts the most vulnerable via skyrocketing gas prices and increasing energy dependency on other countries. It is a misguided policy that in actuality greatly harms the marginalized people you claim to want to help. Also, a great irony of this measure is that when digging deeper into the supporting documents, the county does not even have a single investment in fossil fuels. You are essentially voting on a non-issue. I am asking the board to rethink this issue and to engage in bigger picture thinking. America needs to become energy independent again, particularly in light of world events this past week. This requires investment, as well as a political awareness and will that fossil fuels are something to be stewardfully managed, not eliminated completely, because that leaves us, our military, and our supply chains extremely vulnerable. To all supervisors, but particularly Supervisor Desmond, please rethink your vote and vote no on this issue. Learn from Ukraine, learn from Russia, learn from Nord Stream 2. A yes vote creates dependency and leaves us critically vulnerable. Please vote no on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, my name is Kathy Griffey. I'm a public health nurse supervisor with the County of San Diego. I've been a county employee for 30 years almost. And I want to thank Vice Chair, I'm sorry, I want to thank Vice Chair Nora Vargas for putting forward the important board letter item 3. Although we have a new leadership in this county, we still have some challenges in changing the county culture. For example, as a steward, I have assisted members in many different bargaining units. I have noted an inconsistent application of direct supervision support and feedback for improvement for staff and lack of consideration and respect regarding worker concerns from human resource representatives from each region. SEIU members are ready to participate to make initiative XSX. The initiative is important to me because I want to work for a county that is committed to a safe and harassment-free work environment, shows respect for everyone in the workplace, and has opportunities for growth and development and promotions, and holds staff and management accountable. As noted in the initiative, the experience of someone who comes to the county for services is connected to the experience of an employee who works at the county. Please, thank you for supporting this item.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Paul Henkin. I just wanted to remind the supervisors that item 1 is the federal funding that is our taxpayer dollars was given for COVID-related stuff. It is COVID funding. And you're proposing to use it for other stuff. Worthy cause, may I add, but it is other stuff. It is non-COVID, not directly related to COVID. So I don't know what the procedure is, but I sure hope you cleared it with the people who gave you the money, so they don't get hesitant to give you money in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Peggy Budd. I'm speaking to item number 9. Hello.
Yes, please proceed.
My name is Peggy Budd, and I'm speaking in favor of number 9, and I thank Vice Chair Vargas for bringing this forward on the fossil fuel issue. The treasurer indeed has done a great job in putting forth the amendment, and I want to reflect Cheryl Lawson-Remer's comments, which I think are very, very pertinent. Just 2 days ago, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, an international group, issued a report stating how nearly half of the whole world, half of humanity, is living in danger zones due to climate catastrophe. So it is important to take action now, not for plans 10 or 15, 20 years from now. So that part is stated in this amendment. And it's also stated in the amendment to the Treasurer's investment policy, the specific positive action steps, but it precludes investments in fossil fuels, which are causing climate destruction and devastation and species extinction, including the human species, and it allows the funds to be invested in companies that promote environment stewardship. The Treasurer will use environmental, social, and governance considerations for future investments, which are foundational building blocks to support the decarbonization framework of the county and the sustainability initiative of the county. I highly commend the board for adopting these amendments, and I'm glad.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Audra, you guys, you're such tyrants. It's crazy. We want to be the national leaders in everything. So we're the national leader in murdering babies while they're living by ripping them apart limb by limb. That is so great, you guys. And also, like, what, mass genocide, because you guys want to, like, vaccinate everybody and kill them. That's nice, too. You guys are doing great with that. And probably what, abusing children, like, you guys, yeah, you could be the forefront in that. That's great. Yeah, people need to pay attention, because you talk about inclusion and you're excluding a whole mass load of people that you're going to wish you never did that with. But yeah, you want to take COVID money for interim housing for those in custody and transition. So yeah, just keep us in an emergency so we can keep using these funds. It's great. And then the emergency services for disasters, a regional transportation from public entities for transport during emergencies. Would that be something like taking people to FEMA camps? Just wondering, like, yeah. So if you guys want me to tell you where I live, I'll let you know so you can send me there. I'm sure you'd love that. And also, you want to do evidence-based policymaking, but everything that you guys bring forth with even like the COVID measures is totally bullshit. So I don't know how you're ever going to use data-driven approach when all your data is totally fictitious. I mean, it's not even legit. Yet you guys, you know, we're helping people. That's why we're keeping you out of the meetings, because we want to keep you guys safe. We care so much about you guys. It's wonderful. And so you're also spending $10,000 for Escondido's weekly vax clinic. So, yeah, you guys need to rethink all the ways you're spending money. I wouldn't even thank the treasurer. And if you want to get rid of, like, you know, all the stuff that has to do with your fake, fictitious climate change, you can get rid of the petroleum-based medication.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Annabelle Lana. I am a member of SEIU Local 221. I've worked for the county for 4.5 years with the majority of my experience in BHS and starting a new journey with AIS. I wanted to thank Vice Chair Nora Vargas for putting forward this item 3 to create a workplace principle, and I urge the board to vote yes on this. Although we have new leadership in this county, we still have some challenges in changing the county culture. For example, I have spoken to many colleagues ranging from the civil engineers, medical examiners, mental health specialists, and many more who have voiced to management their concerns, innovative ideas, and most importantly, the support they need to continue to do the good work they do that go unanswered, such as best practices versus past practices. As a former HEART 2020 Awards recipient, it pains me when us county workers put our hearts into the workplace and provide outstanding service despite being expected to do so under pandemic conditions and many workload pressures without considering county worker input. SEIU members are ready to participate to make this a success. This initiative is important to me because I want to work for a county that listens to their workers who are on the ground and doing the good work safely while feeling supported and validated when concerns are brought forth, successfully applied to create a better workplace to give San Diego County the best service our community deserves. Please vote yes on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from our next caller.
Hi, hello. My name is Brian Lafferty, and I am a member of SEIU Local 221. I have worked for the county for 9 years, and I work at Child Support Services. I want to thank Vice Chair Nora Vargas for putting forward this item number 3 to create workplace principles, and I urge the board to vote yes. Although we have new leadership in this county, we still have some challenges in changing the county culture. And while the new county leadership is pro-worker, my department's executive management, it remains, it does not share those sentiments that have been expressed by the Board of Supervisors in discussing this item. And I have coworkers that have been afraid to exercise their legally protected labor rights, such as speaking with a worksite organizer out of fear of retaliation. And so SEIU members are ready to participate to make this a success. This initiative is important to me because I want to work for a county that shows respect for everyone in the workplace and holds both staff and management accountable. Please vote yes on this item, and thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Nathan Woolman, and I am Vice President of SEIU Local 221. I've also worked for the county for about 14.5 years, and I work at Program Integrity for Self-Sufficiency Services. I want to thank Vice Chair Nora Vargas for putting forward item number 3 to create workplace principles, and I urge the board to vote yes. As mentioned, we do have new leadership at the county and also still have challenges in the changing county culture. Government culture in general has suffered in recent years. There are unfortunately some negative connotations when government workers are mentioned. However, I would challenge people to also think about the role of leadership positions in government, to ensure their departments run smoothly and efficiently, and to try and focus on the attitudes they take towards meeting goals. Unfortunately, when the attitude of good enough for government service sometimes comes from the top of a department, it can have terrible consequences on the experience of the workers on the bottom of the ladder, as well as the public we serve. We need to restore the values of meritocracy in our organization. Many of our members, including myself, have been fighting to create quality services against a go-along-to-get-along atmosphere. And so, now, SEIU members are ready to participate and make this a success. This initiative is important to me because I want to work for a county that strives for quality service to its residents and not just a social club where internal politics rule personnel and policy decisions. I urge you to vote yes, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Truth, and I'm commenting on item 3. It's funny that the county is talking about having workplace principles where they are going to have employees that feel respected and cared for and have a sense of belonging, and yet they're discriminating against those who have medical choices that the Board of Supervisors disagrees with, particularly the COVID shot. They fired every single employee who would not get the shot. And then they talk about diversity and equity, yet the chair of the board, Fletcher, refuses to step down, still keeping a straight white male as the leader of the county. A lot of hypocrisy. And as far as items 4 through 7, I noticed the Filipinos Worker Center of Southern California, which is based in Los Angeles, is receiving a total of $40,000 of San Diego taxpayer money. And when will San Diego residents be liberated from having their money stolen by the Board of Supervisors? $10,000 is going to the Del Mar Village Association so they can celebrate a pagan summer solstice event with vaccine card checks and masks. Isn't that wonderful? And I would also say Vargas has some serious audacity to honor Ramya Sahid from the Prana Group, which repeatedly tried to disrupt the redistricting process of San Diego County. There's a lot of nonsense going around, and it needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Wilson. I am a member of SEIU Local 221, and I'm also the County Employees Chapter President for union employees. I have worked for the county for 19 years, and I'm working at the Let Me Go Family Resource Center. I want to thank Vice Chair Nora Vargas for putting forward this item, number 3, to create workplace principles, and I urge the board to vote yes. Although we have new leadership in this county, we still have some challenges in changing the county culture. For example, although we have a new Board of Supervisors, we are still dealing with the past 20-plus years of negative residuals, still looming over the county of San Diego employees, in which leadership is never wrong and cannot be disciplined. Therefore, the mistreatment and discrimination is still allowed toward employees because there's no one holding county leadership accountable for their actions. SEIU members are ready to participate to make this a success. This initiative is important to me because I want to work for a county that has created a county initiative called HEART. H is for helpfulness. E is for expertise. A is attentiveness or respect. T, kindness, to follow their own initiative and practice what you preach. Thank you, Vice Chair Vargas, for listening and hearing the employees. And please vote yes on this item and ensure that both staff, management/leadership are held to the same standard as the employees doing the work. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Rachel Randolph, and I am a member of the SEIU Local 221. I have worked for the county for 9 years, and currently I am a residential care worker supervisor at Polinsky Children's Center. I want to thank Vice Chair Nora Vargas for putting forward the item number 3. Although we have new leadership in the county, we still have some challenges. Currently at Polinsky, we have individuals who've worked at Polinsky for years who know the children, know how it should run, and our management team that knows nothing about direct care are placed in positions and disrespect the staff. Caring for our vulnerable children of San Diego County, everyone should be given more respect. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right, we've got a motion by Supervisor Desmond, seconded by Vice Chair Vargas, to approve the consent calendar, moving item 10 to discussion. Let me ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
The motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
We'll go first to agenda item 10, second reading of administrative ordinance. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion by myself, second by Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Let me ask the clerk to call forward any public speakers on item 10.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 2 requests to speak on item 10. For those individuals that requested to speak on item 10 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. Also note for the record that we received 1 e-comment in opposition of that item. We'll just give a moment for the callers to dial into the conference line. Chair Fletcher, for the record, those 2 individuals also spoke on other consent items. I don't see them dialing in at this time.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any requests from my colleagues to speak. Please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
No.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes with Supervisor Desmond voting no, all other supervisors who are present voting aye.
We're going to go to agenda item 13, development of a doula pilot program. I'm very pleased to bring this item forward, particularly as we start Women's History Month. And, although this is not exclusively a women's issue, it is a family issue, but we know indisputably that Black women have been negatively impacted by so much of what is dominant in our society and so much as what is built into our healthcare system. We know for a fact that African-American women are at least 3 times more likely to die in childbirth. And while this program is available to everyone out there, we really are trying to provide healthcare options to those who are often left behind, to those who historically have had the least access. And we know many of the higher rates of poor birth outcomes experienced by African moms and babies, low birth weight, premature birth, infant and maternal death, are often due to the fundamental nature and structural racism that's built into our healthcare system and throughout. And this doula process and program is a step in creating a better life for families and for children. It's a step to create more healthcare opportunities in ways that are affordable, in ways that are tailored, in ways that meet a very important need. And our office has been working very closely with the Invest in San Diego Families Coalition, with midwives, with doulas from across the county to help address perinatal health inequities. And I want to thank everyone involved for everything that they are doing. Via the San Diego Perinatal Equity Initiative, our county is a leader in supporting infant and maternal health. We've been developing interventions. We're bringing awareness to the issues that we see today. And I know our county is committed to really addressing these issues and adopting a mission to improve birth and maternal health outcomes for families in San Diego County, and working to try and provide those structural opportunities and access to things that we know can improve the health and well-being of our families. Doulas are trained professionals. They provide guidance and support for families both before, during labor, and after birth. And we know that for so many communities, there is a lack of access to this, either due to cost, due to inadequate healthcare systems, and absence of providers that are available in so many of these underserved communities. And we know that doulas provide continuous physical and emotional support, pain management techniques, help empower mothers to seek the care and treatment they need, and also can help reduce unnecessary medical interventions. So it's essential that we do everything we can to provide quality, affordable, culturally competent, and appropriate healthcare options to everyone in our county. And I think this is a positive step forward, and I think there will be a lot we can learn from this pilot program and build on and advance as we move forward. And so I'm happy to make a motion to approve these items. Let me ask if there is a second.
Happy to second.
All right, we have a second by Vice Chair Vargas.
Oh, you want to do it?
I would love to, actually. Thank you.
You can do it. Go ahead.
With that, let me ask the clerk call forward any public speakers, and then we'll come back to the board.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 9 requests to speak by phone on item 13. For those individuals that request to speak by phone on this item, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. Also note for the record that we received 29 e-comments on this item, 27 in favor and 1 in opposition. For the callers, when it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the audio record. And I'll remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
Yeah, Audra, I don't know what's going on here, but you guys seem to call callers for number 10, and then you totally skip past them. Yes, I'm confused, but that's what you guys like to do. And then you went into the doula crap. So do I get 4 minutes? Hello? Yeah, you're not going to answer me because you guys are cowards. The fact that you're calling this birthing people in your whole agenda, like you're trying to blur the lines of everything. Birthing people, only women can give birth. Someone with a vagina can give birth. Men cannot. So the fact that you want to sit here and confuse children and brainwash them, and then some little boy is going to be like, well, why can't I have a baby like that person? Because you're a male and you don't have the genitalia or the organs or any of that in order to do it. But you guys want to confuse everybody. It's freaking ridiculous. You won't even let people speak. It's like you just want to keep us out of these meetings so that nobody can, come and tell you what you're doing wrong, because you guys think that everything that you're doing is right and just, we're trying to save people. You're killing people, all right? And you won't even let the people speak. You're violating every freaking law under the sun, and you guys need to really rethink what you're doing, because you know what? At any point, you can ask for forgiveness and repent and change your ways. But if you don't, then your days there are numbered. And, yeah, Fletcher, you're not even going to be there anyway, because what, are you going to run for governor? Is that what it is? You think that you're going to be another tyrant that, rules the whole state? You better think again, because you'll be in prison before that day ever freaking comes. I would like to take the rest of my time and give it to take a moment of silence for all those you have killed with the vaccine, all the children you're abusing and destroying their lives. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, good morning. My name is Judith Howell. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Judith Howell, and I'm a member of the Invest in San Diego Families Coalition. I'm calling in support of item 13, and I want to express my gratitude to Chair Fletcher for bringing this forward. I'm a Black resident, a resident of District 4, and I'm a birthing person. Black, Indigenous, and Native women are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention notes that most pregnancy-related deaths are preventable and due to a variety of contributing factors, such as access to appropriate and high-quality care, missed or delayed diagnosis, and a lack of knowledge among patients and providers around warning signs. Doulas can significantly improve health outcomes, decrease the amount of C-sections, lower the rate of epidural and pain medication use, and save hospital money. A lack of investment in prenatal care and maternal health care have disproportionately affected communities of color. Black expectant and new mothers frequently said that doctors and nurses didn't take their pain seriously, a phenomenon born out of numerous studies that show pain is often undertreated in Black patients for conditions from appendicitis to cancer. This contributes to the suffering, exploitation, and death of Black birthing people. The new report from the National Center for Health Statistics found that the number of maternal deaths rose 14% to 861 in 2020 from 754 in 2019. The number of women in the United States who died during pregnancy or shortly after giving birth increased sharply during the first year of the coronavirus pandemic. We need direct investment in our county, and I'm calling on the board to pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. My name is Crystal Irving, and I am proud to be the president of SEIU Local 221. I'm calling in support of item 13 to support the Doula program, and I was also trying to comment on the consent calendar, and I will add my comments here if that is acceptable to the chair. I want to thank Vice Chair Nora Vargas for proposing item 3 to create workplace principles. This board letter shows that you've been listening and are responding to the hopes and concerns of our members. We envision a county that doesn't just care about the communities we serve, but also cares about our employees, because it is the right thing to do, and because when employees are supported, they will provide better services. You have heard from SEIU members today and in our discussions that we have a huge gap between the values of our new leadership and the old county culture that still lingers through the physical and the virtual halls of our workplaces. SEIU 221 members stand ready to meaningfully contribute to the process and talk about the uncomfortable truths when there are obstacles to a safe, equitable workplace that is supportive and welcoming to all, regardless of our differences. Thank you, supervisors, for voting yes on item 3. And for the record, SEIU also supports item 8, the Office of Evaluation, and item 9 on responsible investments. I also stand proudly with Invest in San Diego Families partners in support of this item. Having a doula program in this county is vital and will benefit so many children and families, especially Black families. And as a woman and a birthing person, I proudly support this item. Also, happy Social Worker Appreciation Month. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. Can you all hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Bernita Gutierrez, and I am a resident of District 4. I'm calling regarding item number 13 in support of the Invest in San Diego Families Coalition and the pilot program to increase access to doulas in San Diego County. The benefits of continuous physical and emotional support from a doula during pregnancy, labor, delivery, and postpartum has been receiving long overdue and growing recognition to improve outcomes for mothers and babies and reduce costs related to maternity care. Community-based doulas ensure cultural congruence, greater access to linguistic needs, and an understanding of the particular challenges faced by Black, Indigenous, and other communities experiencing the highest burden of birth disparities. Doulas can help reduce the impacts of racism and racial bias in healthcare settings by providing customized, client-centered care and advocacy. I'm calling on the county to create a pilot doula program that is rooted in equity and that recognizes community-based doulas as valuable members of the pregnant person's care team, including ensuring they receive fair compensation and a living wage. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak in support of the doula pilot program.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, just verifying one more caller here. We have one more caller on item 13.
Hi, this is Kit Bacon-Gresset. I live in Fallbrook, District 5, and I teach women in health at Cal State San Marcos. The women most at risk for pregnancy complications and maternal mortality even are typically those who cannot afford doulas. Doulas are, however, exceptionally good for pregnant people, for the birthing team, and for the economy. They can potentially save significant amount of money by intervening prior to pregnancies becoming problematic. They help assure healthy pregnancies, healthy deliveries, and healthy postnatal care. Increasing access to doulas will be good for the county in myriad ways, and I hope you all are able to find it in your hearts to support this. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right, thank you. We will go first to Vice Chair Vargas, and then we'll go to Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. I just want to say thank you for bringing this item forth. I mean, last year I was very, very proud to co-docket with you the resolution to declare racism a public health care crisis, and undeniably racism has played a major role in the negative outcomes in our communities of color and their well-being. And so statistically, we show that unfortunately African Americans and other people of color are at higher risk of pregnancy-related deaths and infant mortality within the first year among our African American populations, 3 times higher. And so I do want to acknowledge that our county has some programs in place, such as the Black Infant Health Program, that are aimed at supporting and improving our African American infant and maternal health and decrease health and social inequities. And so I'm really excited to see, as a healthcare advocate, that you have brought forth this pilot program. I really believe that it's going to help augment the county's current efforts and help us move forward in addressing these health disparities that currently exist and overall help improve health outcomes by providing much needed support to individuals both during and after their pregnancy. And I'm also really glad to see that this pilot program will include a workforce component to train more doulas. And so thank you for the work on this. And with that, I'm happy to vote for this recommendation today.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Vargas. We'll go Supervisor Desmond and then Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Well, thank you, Chair, for bringing this forward. While I am not a birthing person, I think healthy moms and babies are really kind of the ultimate goal. So as a board, we are data-driven, and I think this shows there is a problem, and this is a good step towards solutions and getting pregnant women the education that they need. So I'm in full support, and I support you bringing this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Thank you so much. So first of all, I again want to reiterate the support of my colleagues. I think this is a great initiative and much needed. I do just want to take a moment to, respond to some of the public comments that I found a little troubling. I think we're obviously a diverse LGBTQ community. There's a lot of diversity within our community. And I appreciate the language in this board letter that acknowledges and celebrates and makes space for that diversity, which is so important. There are many kinds of people can give birth, and it is important that we create space in how we talk about the language we use that does not create a sense of exclusion. So I did want to take a moment to acknowledge that as well, and thank my colleagues for their values and for bringing this forward today.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Lawson-Remer. With that, we've got a motion by myself, seconded by Vice Chair Vargas. I appreciate all of the tremendous support from the community, from my colleagues, the wonderful comments and supportive efforts, and really excited to see this move forward, and just pleased we could step in and meet a need and do something that will be impactful. So with that, let me ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
We're going to move to agenda item 14, COVID-19 update. Let me turn it over to staff for their presentation.
Good morning, Chair Fletcher and members of the board. Today's presentation will feature our Public Health Officer, Dr. Wilma Wooten, who will provide a public health update. Additionally, David Estrella, Director of Housing and Community Development Services, will provide an update on the county's COVID-19 response public health hotel program. Finally, Amy Thompson, Agency Executive Finance Director, will provide a COVID-19 response finance update. Now please welcome Dr. Wooten.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Chair Fletcher and members of the board. Currently, cases are declining, and we are on the downside of the December and January surge peak. Nonetheless, transmission and cases remain high. Here you can see the number of new cases reported by date of report since November 20th of last year. For the last 10 days, from February 18th through February 27th, daily cases reported have remained below 1,000 cases per day, ranging from 191 to 894 cases per day. Based on wastewater surveillance and preliminary real-time testing surveillance, it is estimated that approximately 99% of cases in the last several weeks have been due to the Omicron variant, with the Delta variant now nearly non-existent. This slide shows the percent change for cases, hospitalizations, and deaths for the 1 month time period from January 27th through or to February 27th. Cases by report are down 91%, going from 6,882 to 642 cases. Hospitalizations are down 61%, going from 1,283 to 506 admissions. And lastly, deaths, which lag behind cases and hospitalizations, are down 10%, going from 10 to 9 deaths. This slide shows the number of new cases reported by episode date, with overlay of hospitalizations represented by the orange line since April 1st of 2020. Although the case count by illness onset date during the winter for 21-22 surge was 3 times greater than the winter 2021 surge, the number of hospitalizations was lower by comparison. Focusing on vaccinations, this slide shows the tremendous and continuous collective impact made by community partners in collaboration with our county staff members to administer COVID-19 vaccines in our region for almost 15 months. As of Wednesday, February 23rd, over 6.9 million vaccine doses have been administered in San Diego County. Over 2.9 million, or 92.6% of eligible San Diego County residents 5 years of age and older have received at least 1 dose, and over 2.56 million, or 81.4%, have been fully vaccinated. Also, over 1.15 million booster doses have been administered to county residents, which is 54.3% of individuals who are eligible to receive a booster dose. This is an increase in almost 2% since the last presentation to your board. This next slide shows the estimated 7-day rolling average daily case rate by vaccination status for San Diego County residents in the 3-month period from November 14th through February 19th. The case rate among those who are not fully vaccinated, shown by the orange line, includes individuals who are partially vaccinated and those who are not eligible for the vaccine. The green line shows the rate for fully vaccinated residents, and the blue line shows the rate for fully vaccinated residents that who have also received a booster. From this graph, we can see that in the 3-month period, the case rate among those residents not fully vaccinated is consistently higher than the rate among fully vaccinated residents and those with a booster. On the right of the slide, looking at case rates for the week, January 30th through February 5th, there was an average of 104.1 cases per day per 100,000 not fully vaccinated residents. This is compared to 52.6 cases per day per 100,000 fully vaccinated residents and 43.2 cases per day per 100,000 residents with a booster. Therefore, the case rate was about 2 times higher for not fully vaccinated residents compared to those that were fully vaccinated and boosted. On Friday, February 25th, the CDC released COVID-19 community levels that were developed for the current pandemic landscape. New levels were created because the risk of medically significant disease, hospitalization, and death from COVID-19 is greatly reduced for most people due to current levels of population immunity and tools available. The new metrics shift the focus from eliminating COVID-19 transmission to protecting the most vulnerable and minimizing the burden on the healthcare system. As of Monday, February 28th, the CDC has assigned San Diego County to the high community level based on the highest metric among the case rate, new COVID-19 hospital admissions, and percent of staff input or inpatient beds occupied by COVID-19 patients. According to CDC's COVID-19 data tracker, San Diego has a case rate of 216 cases per 100,000 population in the last 7 days. 9 new confirmed COVID-19 hospitalizations in 7 days, and 10% of inpatient beds occupied by a COVID-19 patient. For counties at the high level, CDC states there is a high potential for healthcare system strain and a high level of severe disease. Recommendations include everyone wear a mask in public indoor settings, including schools. Now, those recommendations are a little stricter than the new masking guidance released yesterday afternoon by CDPH for the entire state, starting today, March 1st, masks are no longer required but are strongly recommended in public indoor settings, regardless of vaccination status. Masks remain required in schools and child care settings until March 11th. The County of San Diego will align with this state guidance. As a reminder, metrics and masking guidelines are rapidly evolving to adapt to this new phase of the pandemic. People may choose to mask at any time, regardless of the current COVID-19 community level guidelines. People with symptoms, a positive test, or exposure to someone with COVID-19 should wear a mask and appropriately isolate or quarantine, respectively. Now, also, the County of San Diego will align with the California's Smarter Plan as we prepare for COVID-19 to remain with us for the foreseeable future. SMARTER stands for shots, masks, awareness, readiness, testing, education, and RX for treatment. This slide provides a high-level overview of each of these elements. The plan provides information for these 7 elements to enable local health departments to be fully prepared and respond to changing aspects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Further, the Smarter Plan details expected capabilities and capacities needed by local health departments. The county has already spent many months planning for this reality, and existing plans already align well with these elements, building upon what we have learned over the past 2 years. Essentially, the county will remain and maintain the ability to ramp up efforts in response to future needs in general and surge needs in particular. Finally, throughout the pandemic, we continue to encourage everyone to be COVID safe. To protect yourself and others, it is recommended that you take the actions provided on this slide. Now please welcome David Estrella, who will share information on the County Public Health Hotel Program. David.
Thank you, Dr. Wooten, and good morning. The Public Health Hotel Program was designed to slow the spread of COVID-19 and to alleviate strain on the hospital system. This program has served nearly 15,000 individuals to date. The program consists of 2 key components. First, isolation and quarantine hotels, which provide a safe place to isolate or quarantine for people who tested positive for COVID-19 or were exposed to someone who had tested positive for COVID-19. Second, the high-risk hotels provide lodging and services for persons experiencing homelessness who also had an underlying medical condition that put them at a higher risk of severe COVID-19 illness. Guests at the high-risk hotels have received ongoing case management and assistance securing housing subsidies and permanent housing options. With respect to public health hotels, on December 8, 2021, the county announced that the COVID-19 Public Health Hotel Program would wind down in the first quarter of 2022. This transition coincides with the conclusion of associated federal funding and key services, and recent actions to move toward the next phase of California's COVID-19 response. New referrals for persons requiring isolation or quarantine ended on March 1st of 2022. This ensures that all guests are able to safely complete their necessary isolation timeframe. There are currently 17 individuals isolated in 1 hotel. As for high-risk hotels, guests at the high-risk hotels continue to work with housing navigators and case managers to transition into permanent housing or longer-term shelters. There are currently 111 individuals in the high-risk hotels. We are working closely with city partners to identify shelter options for those who have not been matched to a housing resource or who have not yet identified a permanent rental unit. In closing, with the COVID-19 public health hotel program ending, the county will transition to its previous public health infectious disease lodging model. This model temporarily houses individuals referred by the healthcare system who require a safe place to isolate during their infectious period. In addition, the county will continue to work with local shelters, including providing technical assistance to ensure their ability to provide isolation and quarantine services for their guests. I will now turn it over to Amy Thompson. Thank you.
Thank you, David. The county's weekly spend rate for its COVID response has dropped from the last reported rate to your board of $5.3 million on January 11th to $4.5 million as shown on the slide today, for a decrease of $800,000. Two of the largest drivers of the decrease are in testing and public health hotel rooms, aligning with demand now that we are past the recent surge period. As we continue to prepare for transitioning to the next phase of this pandemic response, we should continue to see decreases in the weekly spend. The percentage of funding remains at just over 50% for FEMA-eligible activities, with the remainder covered by ARPA funds. Given the importance of FEMA reimbursement, I did want to take a slide to talk further about FEMA overall. We are projecting to have incurred $386 million in FEMA costs since the start of the pandemic through April 1st, 2022. The bar shown on the slide breaks out that $386 million by FEMA submission status. We have submitted a total of $222 million in invoices to FEMA, shown in darker green at the bottom, with another $63 million in estimated costs tied to those same projects, shown in light green. We have another $42 million in projects in various stages of county project development, in dark orange, and another estimated $59 million still pending project development at the county level, on top in light orange. While the value of what we had submitted to FEMA is fairly high, as we focus first on those highest dollar projects, to date we have just received payment of $67 million. This reimbursement is tied to the Great Plates program, which is the first large project for the county that was approved or obligated by FEMA. Once FEMA obligates a project, we can then request a transfer of funds for reimbursement. Revenue that is not anticipated to be received in time to accrue for the county's year-end closing process will need to be covered with county funds until FEMA dollars are received. The net result of these deferrals will be reflected in the second quarter budget projections that will be presented to your board later this month. We are working closely with FEMA Region 9 contacts covering California to try and expedite payment of some of the larger projects still with FEMA, primarily non-congregate sheltering and COVID-19 specimen testing. Additionally, we are working closely with our contracted recovery consultants to continue to work as quickly as possible to prepare documentation to submit additional projects currently in or pending the county project development phase. I will now pass the presentation back over to Gary.
Thank you, Amy. In addition to receiving this update, we recommend your board take the following actions with respect to this item. Ratify all actions taken in response to the local health emergency and local emergency. Authorize competitive solicitations for specimen collection services for COVID-19. In accordance with Board Policy A-87, award a contract with Oxford Nanopore Technologies for Promethean equipment, maintenance, consumables, reagents, and supplies. Ratify actions taken by the Director, Department of Purchasing and Contracting in response to the local health emergency and local emergency, and in accordance with San Diego County Administrative Code 402, to amend contract number 563505 with American Medical Response for as-needed ambulance services. Adopt a resolution entitled Resolution Authorizing Continuance of Teleconferenced Public Meetings pursuant to Government Code Section 54953. Subject to your questions, this concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Thank you to all the staff for the presentation and work. Let me have the clerk call forward the public speakers, and then we'll come back to the board.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 19 requests to speak on item 14. For those that requested to speak on item 14, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. Also note for the record that we received 42 e-comments on this item, 1 in favor, 37 in opposition. For the callers, when it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. We'll ask you to please begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'll remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
Mary D. here. First, thank you for deciding to reopen your meetings to the public. I'm not sure when that got decided, but I do appreciate your efforts on that front. SARS-CoV-2 has now been downgraded to endemic per Newsom. Both California and New York are lifting mask mandates. It is time to strongly advocate to unmask all children in school. I urge you to reach out to San Diego Unified via a public proclamation asking them to unmask the kids. I also encourage you to feature a mask-free classroom at the next meeting to give the next Pledge of Allegiance. Additionally, I urge you to revisit and rescind your vaccine mandate for new hires. Follow the advice of Congressman Ted Lieu. Recognize natural immunity, particularly in light of Omicron that swept through the population and now gives so many a robust protection. Also, for your medical panel that critiques comments, I want to address my vitamin D comments from the last meeting. I never said it was a cure or a therapeutic. Vitamin D, however, is a well-documented regulator of both the innate and adaptive immune systems and should be far more widely discussed and promoted as an evidence-based preventive tool in the prophylaxis COVID toolbox. Lastly, I call on you to please now shift your focus to the real public health crisis, one that grew exponentially during the last 2 years. That is the poison that flows across our borders, causing increased overdoses, deaths, mental health crises, and homelessness. If cyanide was streaming across our borders, we would recognize it as a bioterror weapon. It is time to treat illicit drugs, particularly fentanyl and meth, the same as biological weapons of destruction being flooded into our country to steal lives, health, and minds, but most of all, to rob us of the vast pool of human potential wasting away in the abyss of drug use. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll hear from our next caller.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, please proceed.
Hello? Wait, hello?
Yes, please proceed.
Hold on, please. Wait, hello? I can't hear you. Is this, hello?
Yes. Consuelo, you can proceed.
Gone to great lengths to get people vaccinated. We were promised the vaccinations will be a game changer and it will restore our freedom. Turns out none of that was true. It does not render you immune. You can still contract the virus and you can still be infectious. The only thing this vaccine did for sure was to spill billions and billions of dollars in the pockets of pharmaceutical companies. Whenever a government claims to have the people's interest at heart, you need to think again. In the entire history of mankind, there has never been a political elite sincerely concerned about the well-being of regular people. What makes any of us think that it is different now? Never take anything any government tells you at face value. Always question everything any government does or does not do. Whenever a political elite pushes an agenda this hard and resorts to extortion and manipulation to get their way, you can always be sure your benefit is definitely not what they had at heart. As far as I'm concerned, I will not be vaccinated with anything that has not been properly vetted and tested and has shown no sound scientific evidence that the benefits outweigh the disease itself and possible long-term side effects, which, to this day, we don't know anything about. I will not be reduced to a mere guinea pig by getting vaccinated with an experimental drug. And I will most assuredly not get vaccinated because my government tells me to and promises in return I will be granted freedom. Let's be clear about one thing. No one grants me freedom, for I am a free
Christine Anderson, member of the European Parliament.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, Cynthia DeMaria. You know what, honestly, this is an absolute embarrassing day for San Diego. Where are you all at? You have a skeleton crew in the chamber, yet our elected supervisors are hiding at home. Seriously, bad look, very weak. The county admin center is ours, okay? So open it back up to the taxpayers. I hear you're probably going to do that, but, you know, do it sooner than later. To those earlier that uttered birthing persons from their godforsaken mouths, you're flat out mentally ill. Get help. There are two genders, and since you're so in love with science, take notes because this is really hard. Males have penises, women have women have vaginas. Okay, period. Get over it. And guess what? COVID's over. We're beyond nauseated. It's just sickening watching you guys gleefully waste millions of our tax dollars on this absolute filthy propaganda. Leave the children alone. Get done with these stupid vaccines. They're killing more people than they're helping. Okay. To stop abusing children, take the damn masks off, since they have taken the brunt of all of this virtue signaling from you guys, okay? You're all about all kinds of perversions, and then you act like you really care about these everyone's health. No, because you're getting your pockets lined. COVID's a big moneymaker for the schools, for businesses, and we're flat out freaking over it.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Mike Barillo. I filed 2 documents with the clerk, a COVID vaccine injury report and a letter mailed February 15 to Dr. Eric McDonald, Chief Medical Officer of San Diego HHS. My report supplements Ms. Wooten's report on COVID cases and numbers vaccinated. The letter to Mr. McDonald addresses his live YouTube presentation from February 9th that addressed public comment from the last county COVID report that he and others dismissed as misinformation. My letter points out some public comment originates from authoritative sources with differing opinion, some being well-respected members of the scientific and medical community. As Dr. Sawyer mentioned February 9th, skepticism is a healthy thing for scientific progress. So my letter suggested that San Diego, being America's finest city, take the lead and host a national summit on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines, so that all the facts can be put on the table, discussed, and debated. That's how science moves forward. Regarding public concern for vaccine injury, we have not successfully progressed for nearly a year. Let's fix that. So far, no response from my letter. And today, VAERS reports over 24,000 deaths associated with vaccines. In the news, actuaries, the analysts that make insurance companies at least solvent, if not profitable. They analyzed 2020 and 2021 all-cause mortality, remarking on unprecedented death rates never seen before in the industry. The spike in death rate did not occur from the year the virus broke out, but rather in 2021 when the cure did. But they now believe excess deaths were not due to the virus, not due to the vaccines, although the vaccines did kill and injure a lot, but rather due to government's response to COVID-19. Yes, our government is killing us. Here's what perpetual emergency orders cause. Isolation, depression, suicide.
Your time is up.
Psychological.
We'll now hear from the next caller.
My name is Amy Reichert, and I'm the co-founder of Reopen San Diego. And I would like to address the San Diego County Board of Supervisors about some misinformation that they've been putting out. For example, Nathan Fletcher, a couple of weeks ago, said that 80% of all children have been vaccinated. Actually, only 1 in 4 of elementary school-age children have been fully vaccinated in California. So we are actually the majority. So we want you guys to back off of the vaccine agenda because the parents
the majority are not buying it. And Cheryl Wilson, who knows where you are right now, but let's just point out some of the misinformation that you have brought forth at Chambers. For example, you just clamored and rallied against us by saying that we had a right to be unvaccinated, but we didn't have the right to infect your child. Well, let's see. Let's go back to Twitter, where you tweeted that you yourself got infected with COVID. I'm assuming you are fully boosted and you are triple masked, Cheryl Wilson, so it's on you, not on us. And as far as the Chambers and the People's House being closed right now, I can tell you one thing. If I am elected to replace Nathan Fletcher as County Board of Supervisors, we're going to keep government open and transparent. And by the way, no more discrimination against new hires because of vaccination status. That will be the first thing I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Krisha, we need to end this emergency order. Many countries around the world, as well as in the U.S., have moved on from this pandemic. We, the people, know that the emergency has nothing to do with our health, but only about money and control over us. We have sovereign rights over what goes on or in our bodies. If you support any of these unconditional bills coming out of both the Senate and the Assembly in California, you will be violating our constitutional rights and breaking the Nuremberg codes. You only need to look at the CDC's own VARS, which was established as an alert system for vaccines, to see that the massive amount of adverse events, including but not limited to death. Do the right thing, end the emergency, stop violating our rights, stop harming their kids, forcing them to mask when there are 99.998% survivable of COVID-19. And the vaccines are doing more harm to the kids than the COVID ever did. By the way, my brother-in-law just had Omicron variant, had a very low-grade fever, and was over it in 2 days. So it's a flu. Let's get over it. We, the people, are done with this. End the emergency.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hello, is my sound good?
Yes, thank you, Robert.
Robert Cotton. I believe we're all familiar with Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft. He has also been at the forefront of vaccine research and development. Here he is, just 10 days ago, in his own words.
The virus itself, particularly is a type. It's done a better job of getting out to the world population than we have with vaccines. If you have been exposed either to the vaccine or the virus itself, particularly the variant called Omicron, is a type of vaccine. That is, it creates both B-cell and T-cell immunity, and it's done a better job of getting out to the world population than we have with vaccines. If you do serosurveys in African countries, you get well over 80% of people have been exposed either to the vaccine or to various variants. And so, what that does is it means the chance of severe disease, which is mainly associated with being elderly and having obesity or diabetes, those risks are now dramatically reduced because of that infection exposure. And, it's sad we didn't do a great job on therapeutics. Only here 2 years in, we have a good therapeutic. Vaccines, it took us 2 years to be in oversupply. Today, there are more vaccines than there is demand for vaccines.
Hopefully you've all been listening. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Kevin Stevenson. Yes, so I'd like to respond to some of the insane talking points that I just heard. So first off, to Amy Reckart, have fun getting no more than 15% of the vote, because the majority of San Diegans, especially San Diegans in Nathan Fletcher's district, recognize that you are a grifting, conspiracy-driven lunatic. Okay, on to another person. Oh, COVID is over. We're over it. Unmask everyone. Yeah, tell that to the 1,700 deaths on average across the country every single day. Tell that to the loved ones of people who died from COVID and whose deaths could have been completely preventable if we as a collective society from the beginning had just masked up, stayed in our homes, and gotten vaccinated. I love how these people are somehow an authority over everyone else. They think they know better than people who actually follow facts. Well, you lunatics are in for a rude awakening, because if you think that you're going to take over the county government like you did Shasta County up north, you think that the county government is going to a bunch of white nationalist thugs, well, think again. All of you people are complicit in an attack on our democracy, and you should all be ashamed of yourselves for being treasonous pieces of trash. Fuck all of you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Kevin. Oh my gosh, this is Audra. Yeah. That is pretty funny, Kevin, because you were like, we could have stopped all these deaths, just like the deaths that could be stopped from the vaccines that they're giving to people. How about you do a little bit of educating yourself, because you don't know what you're talking about. And we're treasonous? Are you kidding me? It's the tyrants that are in office that are the treasonous tyrants that are, they're demons is what they are, but it's kind of crazy because they're actually infecting people with a bioweapon that I've said before is the same bioweapon that you're so afraid of. Let's inject it into people, along with some HIV, because, you know, Dr. Fauci created HIV and he wanted to, you know, put it in these shots. And, you know, so if you think about it, why is there an influx in, like, HIV advertisements or HIV testing? Right? Oh, I wonder why, because you guys are infecting people with it. And then, you know, they're in the hospitals and they're not dying of COVID. They're dying from murder is what's happening. And then they're harvesting their organs. Did you know a body is worth $65 million? Crazy, right? But, yeah. And the fact that you guys want to surveil wastewater, I don't know, it's kind of crazy because I did that the other day with my waste. And you know what I found? Nora. Crazy. I didn't think I'd find her in there, but she is full of shit. All of you guys are, actually. I'm surprised I didn't find more of you. But your whole shot, mass awareness, readiness, testing, education, and therapeutics. Well, you guys want to, like, get rid of, you know, petroleum and all those things. Well, like I was trying to say before, are you going to get rid of all the medications that have petroleum in them? Or do you need to still make those? Because Big Pharma needs to make money and kill people, right? You guys are so ridiculous. Did you know that ivermectin and HCQ can actually cure COVID and cancer and AIDS? Oh, my gosh. Wonder if you guys bring that out when there's an influx of maybe.
Your time is up. We'll now hear from the next caller.
My name is Melissa. Can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay. I just wanted to bring up Nathan Fletcher. Look at the division that you are causing in our county. These two previous comments going back and forth, this gentleman named Kevin, look at what you guys are doing to us. Leave us alone. And you know what? There's one thing we can agree on. All of this could have been prevented. There are preventative measures that we can take that don't deal with isolation and masks or vaccines. But doctors, you are complicit in withholding those from the people. Everyone on that panel who is advising Wilma Wooten, who has been appointed, not elected into office, and practiced medicine only 10 years and has been working for the county for 20, you're all complicit. And I would call on any law enforcement officer to be brave and investigate our board in crimes against humanity, what they're doing to us as people. You're dividing us. Leave us alone.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Truth. According to Fauci in 2020, COVID is akin to seasonal influenza with a fatality rate considerably less than 1%. No lockdown measures can ever be justified in a free country, especially not teleconference-only meetings. It was nothing but typical politician hypocrisy when a whole bunch of county nobodies were allowed to pack in the hall for the probating office swear-in on February 8th. Over $680 million of San Diego County taxpayers' money has been wasted on this false emergency by this Board of Supervisors. Yet these corrupt supervisors are still clamoring for more federal dollars, particularly through the tyrannical FEMA group. So, a couple of quotes. The overwhelming number of deaths, over 75%, occurred in people who had at least 4 comorbidities. So really, these are people who are unwell to begin with. Quote from CDC Director Rochelle Walensky. Here's another quote. Vaccinated people make up 75% of recent COVID-19 cases in Singapore. That's from Reuters. About half of the 46 patients presently hospitalized in Israel in severe condition are vaccinated. That's also from Reuters. Here's one from WHO. COVID-19 is a mild disease for most people. Most of the people who catch COVID-19 can recover and eliminate the virus from their bodies. Let's see. Here's from WHO Dr. Maria Kirchhoff. It's very rare that an asymptomatic person transmits COVID-19 to a secondary individual. She also said, children seem to be less infected. So here's Anthony Fauci's quote. The fatality rate may be considerably less than 1%. COVID-19 may ultimately be more akin to seasonal influenza, fatality rate of approximately 0.1%, rather than to SARS or MERS, which had case fatality 10%.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hi, Paul Hinton. Hello, Supervisors, Wilma, Control Freaks. Thank you, Nate, for saying it's time to move on. I hope your actions match your words. Wilma, I noticed that you use a lot of CDC data. The CDC fudges data, they omit data, they test selected age groups, they apparently withhold data. They don't trust doctors to explain it right. This amounts to fraud, in my opinion. The more pressing question is just how many emergency admissions for COVID are, in fact, emergencies. Many of these are probably treatable at home. My own experience, on January 13th of last year, I fell and was admitted to emergency. I had several fairly large cuts. So the guy to sew it up finally waltzed in about 3 hours later, and then he had the nerve to submit a bill using medical code for dire emergency, by the way, number 99265. I challenged the bill, insurance agreed, and I haven't paid a dime. And this wasn't the first time it's happened in my family either. So, my question, if you can't trust the CDC or the hospitals, and the CDC says it can't trust doctors, who can you trust? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Mike Johnson. I'm calling to oppose the teleconference meeting. I mean, you have the county staff sitting there. You can watch them on the video. They're all there. First responders like police, nurses, firefighters, they all have to show up to work. Back in the beginning, you guys tried to pick who was and wasn't essential. I mean, if you can't show up to work, then maybe you're not essential. So maybe you should actually just show up and be accountable to the people, because that is your job. You don't pay for the county admin building. The people do. So you're accountable to the people. The fact that you think that you don't have to be there and you just keep making state of emergency, but why is the staff there? If it's such an emergency, why is the staff sitting there in the chambers, but the elected officials that we want to be there aren't obligated to show up? So you need to get back to work, show back up in front of the people and be accountable to us so we can air our grievances in person like it was meant to be, not so you can just play on your phone and ignore us at home and just call in and phone in votes. So I'm opposed to you guys continuing the misuse of the teleconferencing. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Hi, this is Melissa Grace, founder of San Diego Rise Up. Normally I take great pleasure in facing Nathan Fletcher face-to-face to address my grievances with the board, as Nathan Fletcher is the supervisor of my district, District 4. It is quite surprising to me that after 700-plus days of this quote-unquote local health emergency, that we are still continuing to espouse that we are somehow anywhere close to imminent and proximate threat, which is what California Health and Safety Code 101080 requires as a part of continuing the local health emergency. If you, as leaders of the Board of Supervisors, can sacrifice your other county workers to be working in field, which they all are, you've got all of the other county staff sitting inside of the chambers right now. You've got all of your county workers working in person today. Why is it that the leaders of our county, so-called leaders, and I say that in quotes, can't be bothered to face their constituents? Going so far as to actually disable comments, Nathan Fletcher, on your Instagram. Now, I understand I would be afraid of facing the people and the music also if 99% of the comments on my social media were negative. But unfortunately for us, San Diego Rise Up, that's not the case. I talk to people. I talk to them in person. I talk to them online. I talk to them in events. And across the board, people in our community are sick and tired of career politicians playing games with their everyday lives. There's one thing that I know for sure is that you cannot trust a career politician. And in the upcoming elections, which we know primaries are coming up in June, I encourage every citizen of San Diego County.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Becky Hossett, please bear with me. I missed agenda item 13. As a mother, let me repeat, mother of 7 children, I've earned the benefit of having strong support throughout labor and delivery, and thankful for my husband who served in that role. That said, I understand doulas can also play an important support role, have no problem with ensuring minority groups have equal access to birthing support. What I don't understand or support, nor will I accept, is slipping in the anti-God, counter-science designation of birthing person into this agenda item, replacing the ages-old, appropriate, and dare I say it, biblical wording, mother. If any of you on the board consider yourselves to be God-fearing people of faith, I encourage you to insist on a modification to the appropriate wording before agreeing to vote yes on that agenda item. Nathan Fletcher is far beyond tipping his hat on what influences him. He continues to brazenly push the envelope and expects the rest of you, as well as the good citizens of San Diego, to unflinchingly go along with what is an actual affront to a holy God who created us male and female. His ways and his design are amazing and unchangeable. Woe to a county that dares to ignore and redefine him. I am not naive enough to think the theological case will hold sway for all of you, so let's talk about following the science in this board's high-priority campaign against misinformation. Science incontrovertibly bears out that men and women differ. Sexual differences are objectively real, including who gives birth, females, mothers. Is there a greater trespass against our common sense, let alone the most basic science facts, to call a mother a birthing person? This is a prime example of misinformation and, frankly, a culture gone gravely astray. I urge you to have nothing to do with this folly. The wording must be modified so it reflects a respect for our Creator as well as the mothers who birthed each one of us. Viva la différence. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hey, this is Amber Long. I just wanted to say, once again, Fletcher, the hypocrisy is embarrassing. You shut down businesses. You don't stand for families' right to choose. We're not there in person. You ridicule us for wanting choice and change. And then you come out with that statement yesterday, like, really? We know where you stand, and it is not for the people. We know who you represent, and it is not us. I am done. I will not be giving up an inch. I took my kid out of public school, and I don't care if the mask mandate is coming down. I am not putting him back in there. You guys violated my right as a parent, and I'm not putting up with it. Lifting the mask mandate for children is long overdue. We've been demanding it for well over a year now. But like I said, even so, I'm not putting my kid back in there because I know where the district stands, and that's not for freedom. My kid came from me, and only I can say what goes on his body or what his medical decisions are. Not you, not the state, not his school. He came from me, not you guys. So I make this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone. Look, we've seen considerable progress. While our rate of transmission is high, we know because of the vaccine, because of therapeutic treatments, we are in a fundamentally different place. And I have supported the efforts around moving into the endemic phase. As a county, we lifted restrictions, that we control, that things that impact the public 9 months ago. And I was pleased to see the governor come forward this week and get us moving forward with the last things that are in place, which is masking in schools. And that is coming up very, very soon. And so I think we can all begin to look ahead, recognizing COVID will still be with us, but because we now have the protections in place, of vaccines and boosters and therapeutic treatments, I think it does move into the way we view other respiratory viruses. And it's been a long few years, but I think we're in a good place in being able to put COVID in the rearview mirror and behind us and look ahead and move forward. So I appreciate all of the work and continued effort that is going into this, and I know we all look forward to moving ahead responsibly and safely and getting beyond it. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations in this agenda item.
Happy to second.
All right. We have a motion and a second by Vice Chair Vargas. Let's go to Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Chair. And I really also want to thank staff for all the hard work and effort that's been going on and on with the COVID item here and all the hard work that's been done and answering questions and everything else from all the board offices. I do have a question, and then I got some comments. On the FEMA dollars, I guess this is to Helen or Ebony, what's the What's the level of confidence that FEMA is going to pay back that $386 million, and that's only up until April 1st, hopefully, of this year. There's probably going to be more. What's the level of confidence that that's going to come? Because they've only paid $67 million of that $386.
Hey, Supervisor Desmond, this is Amy Thompson from HHSA. So right now we've been working very closely with the Director of Recovery in Region 9, FEMA, and he has communicated that we should have quite a bit of confidence that everything that's with FEMA now, so on my slide we have about $222 million that we've submitted to FEMA. They're actively working on those. There have been, just through the review process, there's a lot of discussion back and forth, submitting additional documentation, but there's no reason to believe yet that anything will be disallowed. They're making good progress in trying to prioritize some of our higher ticket items. So right now we do have confidence that we will receive funding for that $386 million. It's just the timing as to when we get that cash is still a bit up in the air.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I was just curious. I just want to make sure that, we weren't spending that money before it arrived. So counting our chickens before they hatch. So appreciate that effort. And I'm really happy that the governor announced that the masking is now recommended and not required. And I'm glad to see that many schools, not all, but many schools are going to be transitioning away from the mandatory masking and hopefully leaving it up to the parents. But I would like to ask our CAO, the public health doctors, and our board's subcommittee on COVID to reconsider at your next meeting the mandatory vaccine required for new hires and for the testing, the mandatory testing for unvaccinated employees. I see that hopefully coming to an end soon, and I'd like to have that task force take that up for consideration of getting rid of that vaccine mandate for new hires and the testing. So thank you, Mr. Chair. If your committee can take that up. I also just want to reiterate. On
that point, Supervisor Desmond, yes. I can wait till you're done, or I'm happy to comment on that point if you want now.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Well, no, look, I agree. I mean, everything we did surrounding COVID was all designed to be temporary. And now so much of what we've dealt with the last few years has been gone, the mask mandate on kids kind of being the last big one. But I do think it's appropriate to look at how we safely and responsibly phase out the testing and vaccine requirements. And so I'd be happy to have our subcommittee take a look at it, work with our county staff and our public health, and come up with something for the board to consider in the future.
Okay, well, I'd like to hear if you did have discussions at our next meeting or the next COVID meeting or sooner. So thank you. Yep. And hey, I just want to reiterate that it becomes clearer and clearer in my mind that the emergency is over. And I think the state should be declared over by the state. So I'm going to ask, I know this is always a pain, Chair, but if we could vote separately on item 2, 5, and 6 of the recommendations today.
Yeah, I'm happy to bifurcate them, but you want 2, 5, and 6 on their own vote, and then the other 1, 3, and 4
on a separate vote. Yeah. Thank you.
That's fine. Okay. Any other comments? But happy to work on that, Supervisor Desmond, to get us something back for us to consider.
Thanks.
All right. So we've got a motion and a second. So we're going to take a first vote. This will be on recommendations 1, 3, and 4. So we'll be voting first on recommendations 1, 3, and 4. Motion by myself, second by Vice Chair Vargas. Let me ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
The motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
We will now vote on recommendations 2, 5, and 6. Motion by myself, second by Vice Chair Vargas. Please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
No.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes with Supervisor Desmond voting no, all other supervisors who are present voting aye.
We're going to move to agenda item 15, receive a report on countywide department sustainability plans and adopt the vision and goals. Let me first ask Supervisor Lawson-Remer if you have any introductory comments you'd like to make. We do have a staff presentation on this item. We can go to that first as well, whatever your preference is.
Why don't we go to the staff presentation? Because mostly I'm going to just tell the staff what a great job they've done. So.
All right, perfect. So let's turn it over to staff. Let's get a presentation on agenda item 15.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. They're getting settled, but while they're settling, I'd just like to compliment our consultant, ARUP, publicly. You're going to hear from them later, but they have done an extraordinary job in helping us work through a very grounds-up process here that you're going to hear about today. And then also Sarah Agassi, who has taken the lead on this for me and done an exceptional job, and all the general managers who have embraced this fully. So with that, Sarah, are you ready now?
We are ready. Thank you so much, Ellen. Good morning, Chair Fletcher and members of the board. Today's presentation on our efforts in the creation of county-wide departmental sustainability plans is the first phase in the design of unique plans for each of our 42 county departments and 5 supervisorial district offices. Over the last several months, the Land Use and Environment Group Executive Office has led this effort on behalf of the enterprise. To help foster greater ownership of the department plans, strengthen capabilities across all aspects of county operations, and ultimately achieve overarching sustainability goals, the plans were developed by each department rather than at the executive level. We convened a steering committee consisting of representatives from each county business group and liaisons for each county department. The only requirement we put in place for team selection was that those who joined us have a passion for sustainability, and our departments absolutely delivered. We want to acknowledge the county team who devoted their time and efforts. This team was committed and engaged throughout our journey and have laid the groundwork for their departmental plans and the identification of commitments that will build more sustainable operations for the county. We worked in partnership with a consultant team, ARUP USA, Inc., who helped guide our county departments. ARUP is a global consulting firm committed to advancing sustainable development with experience supporting local governments around the world, across the United States, and throughout California. They have decades of experience working with public agencies in delivering sustainability frameworks and measurable results. The ARUP team is here with us today to share the vision and goals developed for the county, their methodology and process for the development of the plans, their findings and suggested next steps. Nicole Bogosian-Ambrose will close our presentation with recommendations for the next phase of the departmental sustainability planning and implementation. It is my pleasure to turn our presentation over to Heather Rosenberg, Project Manager, and Annie Dennis, Deputy Project Manager.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's been an absolute joy to work with the County of San Diego. I just want to start off by saying I've worked with dozens of local governments around California in particular and around the U.S. and the world, and really have appreciated the amount of enthusiasm and effort put in by the staff, and as well as the commitment from the board. Next slide. To share with you a little bit about what we've done, we have been working with county departments to develop their own sustainability plans, thinking about the county as an enterprise, as an organization, and looking at internal operations. Unless you think that is a small piece, it is a small piece of what the county does as one of the largest employers in the region, with a budget of over $7 billion. This is a significant effort, and these measures will make a difference. The way we approached this was for each department to develop their own plan, looking at their own internal operations using a uniform enterprise-wide approach. We used the Global Reporting Initiative standards, particularly for the environmental standards, This gave a unified alignment to the structure of the plans that will be readily accessible and translatable to a variety of external partners, including potential for alignment with ESG reporting, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. So the categories, which basically function as the chapters or the tabs in the Excel file of the work we did, are materials, energy, water and effluents, biodiversity, emissions, and waste. We added 2 additional categories around people and process to get the full range of sustainability as defined by the board and activities across the county. This was truly a bottom-up approach. I have worked with many local governments, and usually what you see is a county or regulatory body giving some kind of mandate of, meet this goal, and then departments kind of having to figure out on an ad hoc basis what that meant. This was the opposite. We worked with 47 departments, actually starting with 42, and are now working with the 5 Board of Supervisors offices to develop your own plans and to really look and say, well, what is material in terms of sustainability? Where are your impacts? And defining what that means across the organization. This was absolutely not just a land use and environment group exercise. There's significant impacts from an environmental perspective across all groups: public safety, finance and general government, and health and human services, as well as significant leadership across the county. This was a very collaborative approach. We had over 12 workshops working with county staff, having each group define their own goals of what they wanted to accomplish, of what sustainability meant for their operations. We had, I'll share with you a story where our luge team was regularly asking, are you getting what you need from the departments? Is there anyone we need to follow up with? And we actually found the opposite to be true, that people were coming to us. The amount of enthusiasm was extraordinary. This is a group of real overachievers working here. And their demand for what are the best practices, what should we be doing, what should we be thinking about, led actually to the way that we approached and designed a web-based, it wasn't web-based, an Excel-based tool, excuse me, to capture, to give them a truly significant amount of information at their fingertips that aligned with county commitments that already existed to define sustainability measures. Just quickly by the numbers, I mentioned the 47 departments. We've talked about the steering committees and the 60 liaisons. Overall, we vetted over 255 sustainability strategies, working with over 155 county staff. Truly a significant amount of stakeholder engagement. The first thing that we asked as consultants coming into this process was, well, what does the county really want to accomplish? What is this for? What are the goals? And that really was left to departments. So we worked closely with other consultants, including the organizational consultant who was looking at sustainability, as well as the range of board letters that had been written in this space. We worked closely with the steering committee and the liaisons to develop and draft a vision and goals, and I'll just read it to you. The county's sustainability vision is to set the standard for evidence-based sustainability efforts for the San Diego region and beyond. The County of San Diego will be a leader in sustainability and support all communities in the region by efficiently using and effectively protecting our natural resources, balancing economic growth, and ensuring just and equitable provision of public services without compromising the ability of future generations to also flourish and thrive. And these are the goals: engage the community, provide just and equitable access, transition to a green, carbon-free economy, protect health and well-being, protect water, protect ecosystems, habitat, and biodiversity, and reduce pollution and waste. These goals set the foundation, and There are strategies in all of the sustainability plans that link back to those goals. So now I'll turn it over to my colleague, Annie Dennis, to talk us through how we actually did this process.
Thank you, Heather. From the workshops, we mapped each department's internal operations, including procurement, facilities, waste, vehicles, land management, and equipment. We then categorized departments into 3 main groups. We found departments could work more effectively together in developing the plans if matched with others that have similar internal operations. Grouped as office and black are departments that are primarily employees or tenants in an office building or participating in the telework program who impact sustainability through commute patterns, paper consumption, behavioral interactions with the building, may own a small number of vehicles, and have some influence over office equipment. Those highlighted in yellow across Public Safety Group, Health and Human Services Agency, and Land Use and Environment Group each have unique processes that impact sustainability in different ways, from food procurement to roadways and parks programs, to portfolios of buildings across a wide service area like fire stations and health clinics. Those highlighted in blue, General Services, Human Resources, Purchasing and Contracting, and Technology Office, serve departments across the enterprise, particularly as it relates to internal operations. As you can see, every department has a key and active role to play to realize the strategic vision and goals. To develop sustainability strategies relevant for each department that truly capture the diversity of county operations, we gathered over 40 existing plans and policies, coordinated with ongoing sustainability efforts such as the Regional Decarbonization Framework and the Climate Action Plan, and pulled additional guidance from sustainability certifications such as LEED, which covers green building design, Envision, which focuses on restorative infrastructure, CITES, as it relates to sustainable landscaping, and TRUE, which is the zero waste standard. We then crosswalked that bank of 255 strategies with state and federal policies so that each department plan clearly indicated what was already being achieved in the county and what is coming to head in the policy landscape. We then sorted the strategies into 8 environmental categories that Heather introduced at the beginning. To make each of the 47 plans unique and relevant, we marked which strategies are applicable so that departments with, say, vehicles could respond to strategies that relate to vehicles, and so forth. Each department completed the plan pages shown on this slide to indicate which strategies they're already doing, which they're ready to commit to, and which require further investigation. And this organizational system provided a tool to do cross-cutting analysis across the enterprise to identify emergent themes, as well as deep dives for specific measures, which I'll present to you now. So each of the key theme slides is organized by the GRI categories, and they present strategies from left to right, from fully developed within the county to examples within the county to emerging opportunities. And beginning with materials, examples within the county that we found to be unique and really demonstrate leadership include a program to reuse surplus products and construction projects that embed reclaimed materials. From there, further supporting the adoption of these programs and building on the environmental preferable products policy are opportunities. And we also heard a lot of interest from departments in a paperless working group. In energy, the county demonstrates real leadership in new construction with LEED and zero net energy requirements and the commitment to 100% renewable power by 2030. Supporting decarbonization of existing buildings is a critical opportunity for the county with a strong foundation to support this. The county has responded to the water crisis for decades with active retrofits and has robust stormwater management ordinances. Departments shared valuable insights into how pest management impacts water quality and solutions they're actively working on to improve it. In biodiversity, the county is a leader with its multiple species conservation program and other programs. Alignment with the CAP on tree planting and additional acres for conservation is emerging. And furthermore, departments expressed interest in climate adaptation. In emissions, reducing transportation emissions begins with walking and biking. A transportation management plan for each department works to reduce vehicle miles traveled. All of these are examples already existing within the county that can be further supported and expanded. The shift to gas-powered vehicles and equipment to electric and zero emissions technologies is fundamental in decarbonization. With departments ready to make commitments that exceed the CAP targets, plans to support that effort, and that align with the California state policy. A key theme throughout this project has been other sources of emissions, from embodied carbon in construction materials to data center third-party vendors and food programs. To achieve zero waste, the county has examples of innovative programs to keep materials and products in circulation and diverted from the landfill, with opportunities to support working groups, evaluate common purchases, and track more deeply. There are opportunities to not only think about the environmental impacts of county operations, but also build social equity and justice locally and across the supply chain. And there are many ways to support the sustainability planning process, as shared in the report, including training and incentives for staff. I will now hand it back to Heather to take us through next steps. Thank you.
So you can see the huge amount of effort and the scope of this, which has been quite broad. And so now we're going to talk through what those next steps are to build the foundation so that this can actually be not a one-time assessment of where are you, but really set the course for where you need to go. The next step, the immediate next step, which is ongoing already, is to complete plans, bring in the budgeting side of it and make sure that the budget is there, both in operational plans and in capital plans, and to conduct the analysis for the many measures that are in plans that departments are ready to investigate but need further information. The next is one that we've also developed, which is, or we're actually developing now, is to develop an ESG strategy. ESG is environmental social governance. And we have the foundation using GRI and the framework and the scope of this as an internal organization to inform how this gets reported out to external stakeholders, particularly in the financial realm, and what this means for financial institutions. So looking at it, developing an ESG strategy for the county as both an investor and an investee. To make sure we're continuing to make progress on all of these different sustainability strategies, we need to standardize key performance indicators. What are the metrics and the targets that will be used to validate and improve performance over time? And then all of that needs to be built into some kind of more robust digital tool. The tool that we developed was Excel-based. It was really good for sharing a lot of information quickly, but to be able to use it in an ongoing way to enable ongoing annual reporting is critical. And all of that needs to roll up into the annual reporting that's called for in the board letter, and that needs to address the range of audiences that the county needs to report to, including staff, leadership, the board, the public, as well as potentially financial institutions, credit agencies, and others. Taking all of this the next level down and into a deeper framework, there's a real opportunity to align this work with the work of the Office of Equity and Racial Justice and the Office of Environmental and Climate Justice, to align responsibility, authority, and control. This is actually a pretty significant one. One of the things that we found, one of the biggest roadblocks to achieving sustainability in the county is around this alignment of responsibility and control. The primary example is that departments control the budgets for their buildings and fleets. DGS is responsible for ongoing operations and maintenance. DGS has the capability, the know-how, the plans even in place to go pretty far with sustainability. But if it isn't prioritized in a standardized way across departmental budgets, then we have some challenges. So figuring out what departments need to commit to in terms of delivering sustainability in those different facilities and fleets is a critical piece. There is a culture shift happening already just from raising all of these topics and bringing these groups together. Thinking about how that then becomes a part of the day-to-day operations of how the county does business is key. Strategies, this is really an opportunity for the Human Resources Department actually to take a leadership role and think about what sustainability means from onboarding, training of employees, recognition and incentives over time. And finally, Annie mentioned a number of commonalities across different departments that are working in kind of more of an ad hoc way, but forming working groups to tap the existing leadership that you have within the county to deliver in an ongoing way. There's also some deeper dives in a more technical sense to be done, including a more detailed sustainable purchasing plan, deeper dives around food, waste management, going paperless, existing buildings, energy and water, healthy buildings, and I'll pause and say that that HHSA has a lot of information and expertise around healthy buildings and healthy places that can be promoted and shared across the county. Resilience, thinking about climate adaptation, but also looking across your facilities and understanding what hazards they may face and what the risks are, and also thinking about energy strategies and ways that county buildings can serve vulnerable populations and serve remote areas. A number of departments with more technical and complex operations could also benefit from more departmental specific deep dives. So I'll pass it back to Nicole to talk about next steps.
Thanks, Heather. This first phase that developed and laid the foundation for the departmental sustainability plans is just a starting point. Sustainability planning is an evolving process that requires continuous effort, commitment, and accountability, both at the enterprise-wide level as well as at a department level. As we work toward implementation of the plans, county departments will select 3 short-term additional commitments, along with 1 midterm and 1 long-term commitment to complement the sustainability practices they are already doing. Short-term commitments will be included in the fiscal year 2022-23 CAO recommended operational plan for implementation within existing planned resources. Mid and long-term commitments require further investigation, cross-departmental collaboration, and may also need additional resources for which we would return to the board. Today, we are recommending the board find the project exempt from CEQA, receive the consultant's report on countywide departmental sustainability plans, and adopt the sustainability vision and goals for the county. It's important for departments to continue to further develop and work toward implementation of these strategies with consideration for what resources may be required. Therefore, and for continuity, we are seeking the board's approval for a contract amendment not to exceed $1,300,000 to begin implementation of the departmental sustainability plans with ARUP, as well as development of a county airport system sustainability plan. Funds for the contract amendment are available within existing resources within each group office and the Airport Enterprise Fund and Public Works. The scope of work for this next phase could include items such as development of key performance indicators, implementation roadmaps with benchmarking, advancement of energy strategies, policy development, and facilitation of cross-departmental collaboration for successful implementation of sustainability strategies. We are looking forward to continuing our partnership with ARUP and are happy to answer any questions.
Chair Fletcher, I'd like to just make one quick closing comment, and that is, we're really lucky to have a strong bench of young leaders in the county, and Nicole Ambrose is one of those. So if you don't know her, everyone in the county, you will know her because she is doing the heavy lifting on a lot of this sustainability plan. So I just wanted to give a shout out to you, Nicole, and thank you for all your hard work. Thank you. With that, Chair Fletcher, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Helen, and thank you, Nicole, and an entire team, and a special thank you to Vice Chair Vargas and Supervisor Lawson-Remer, who really kicked off this entire endeavor and the leadership to move us to a more sustainable future in the county. We're indebted to both of my colleagues who saw the vision to get this moving forward. I think we have a couple of public speakers. Why don't we hear from them, and then we'll come back to board members.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 3 requests to speak on item 15. We did not receive any e-comments on this item. Any members of the public that requested to speak on item 15, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. Again, for the callers, when it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted, and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. We'll ask you to please begin by stating your name for the audio record. We'll begin with our first caller.
Audra, what a joke. You guys are so stupid. Yeah, I urge everybody to call in tomorrow. They always do land use meetings where they have all of these shenanigans in there. Nobody pays attention because they just pay attention to COVID, but it's bigger than that. It's a huge plan. They don't want us to drive anywhere. They want us to walk or bike. I mean, if you're really worried about the environment, I mean, what are you going to do with the planes? Are they going to be electric? That's cool. And then also like buses, are those as well? And then boats, like I'm just like, are these all going to be electric? Because they're polluting too. And, basically you want to decarbonize everything. I mean, we're carbon-based, you know that. So like all life is carbon-based. So like, are we trying to kill more people and get rid of every living thing? Are you guys going to go live underground or something? I don't understand how you'll still be living through all of this. I mean, they do have biosludge, so you can recycle bodies, you guys. Did you know that? And put it on the crop and then feed it to the people? That's pretty cool. And, yeah, you guys want to create all of these different, departments so that you can get more money. $7.23 billion. Are you freaking kidding me? That's the people's money that you're throwing away on this fake climate crap that you guys are like, oh my gosh, there's an injustice going on. The climate is racist. We have to do something about it. That COVID's also racist. And I just found out birth is racist. It only affects women. How dare it? It's like we should have put a stop to all of this stuff because it's so ridiculous. But Nathan, we know this is your World Economic Forum plan, right? The whole Great Reset, Agenda 21, transhumanism, like all of those things. It's so great. You guys are so delusional. Like, do you understand how delusional you are? Because at some point, when all of the truth is exposed, because it will be, because the truth is coming in all areas, and it's leaking out right now, like, you guys will be bummed.
We'll now hear from the next caller.
Truth. This Board of Supervisors is approving a $1 million plus contract with ARUP USA, Inc. for their social sustainability plan for the County of San Diego. It doesn't matter what they call it, whether the decarbonization framework or the Sandag regional plan, it's all UN Agenda 21 derived. They couldn't even hire a local company for the consulting job. ARUP is a British company that helped build the Gates Foundation HQ, the Apple HQ, and the CCTV HQ. ARUP has partnered with Rockefeller's Global Resilient Cities Network, the C4 Cities, which is funded by Soros's Open Society, the Rockefeller Foundation, Johnson & Johnson, the London School of Hygiene, which was involved in the racist eugenics movement, and the Wellcome Trust. Also, the WBCSD, which is UN-associated, the Global Commons Alliance, which is partnered mainly with the Rockefeller Foundation, along with the Club of Rome, ICLEI, a German-based international council which is trying to make all cities in America under UN Agenda 21, and the World Economic Forum, Nathan's friends. This so-called overarching sustainability plan is really the UN's Agenda 21 plan, otherwise known as Sustainable Development, where all land and all resources will be controlled. So those who called in on 508 from Gillespie Field and other airports, take note that the county is coming after your jobs with their airport system sustainability plan. Lawson Reamer, who works for the UN, and Fletcher, who works for the World Economic Forum, are well aware that they are pushing the economic destruction of San Diego County.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes public comment on this item.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Thank you so much. So I first really want to start just by enthusiastically thanking county staff and Nicole and Sarah, but also Eric. This report is just so fantastic. And I think it really reflects, you know, what our county staff can do and what our team can do when we just ask people to think big and be ambitious and think outside the box. And I just so love the diversity and ambition of all the initiatives that were put forward, but the way in which those initiatives have been aligned around the Global Reporting Initiative, the GRI, which is obviously, you know, best practice globally in terms of how we account for and report out on sustainability goals, and love to see our county stepping into leadership in aligning with the GRI as well. So there's just so much to like in here. There's so much that's so great. You know, I also want to thank Vice Chair Vargas, who partnered with me on introducing this item last spring. I really think this is setting the stage for our county to be a leader in sustainability, equity, and environmental justice. I'll be very excited to support the recommendations to allow these plans to move forward towards implementation and continue the contract with ARAP. You know, I just want to take a moment to highlight some of what I see as the most exciting, well, they're all exciting, but some of the innovative, ambitious proposals and initiatives that our county team has put together. The Department of Parks and Rec is committed to zero net energy for new facilities. The Department of Public Works is developing a plan to retrofit existing facilities for water conservation and also move to net zero in terms of our carbon emissions on buildings. And we also have many departments indicating that they're ready and willing to develop a transportation demand plan for employee commutes. This is all amazing. And I just want to say that as the largest employer in the region, we carry a huge responsibility to advance transformative change. From transitioning to a green, carbon-free economy, to supporting green jobs, to expanding the market for local and sustainable food. Developing the departmental sustainability plans show that we are truly committed to practicing what we preach. So thank you again for all of your hard work on this, our staff, our consultants, people who led the projects, people who contributed their ideas along the way from the bottom to the top. You all have done an amazing job, and I'm just so proud to work with you. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Vargas, and then we'll go to Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to just say thank you to my colleague, Supervisor Lawson-Remer, and I want to say thank you to our county staff for all of the work that they did on this. We could have, you know, all the work that they did to create plans for all of our departments, to create sustainability plans so that we can address how we advance sustainability in our everyday at our workplaces. The county really already has some processes that help to reduce waste, but as we implement climate and sustainability planning and goals for our region, I think we really do have to do more to transition to cleaner technologies. And so again, this vision of sustainability goals is centered around equity and justice and community, and there's nothing more important for me. And so I'm really grateful for that. I really appreciate that we're taking a deeper look and really looking at the departments from a very different perspective. And you know, 42 county departments, our board offices. I know I've been told I'm not allowed to print anything anymore. Just kidding. And we're doing our own assessments and sustainability work plan to make sure that we are also part of the solution, right? So I'm really looking forward to this. And, you know, whatever I can do in my role at CARB and then locally here at APCD, and I think it's really important that we integrate a lot of these agencies in addition to the work that we're doing, you know, as we're looking at funding to advance fleet transition, infrastructure, and other opportunities, not just for us at the county, but for the region to transition to cleaner technologies. And then, you know, I will say now, and I know that we have reports later on when we do our committee reports, but I will mention that for the first time, we're going to have an opportunity to bring together a meeting between SANDAG and our APCD to begin to think about the intersectionality of our agencies. And I think we need to do more of that. And this is, I think, a first step for the county to do that. So I'm really happy about this work, and I think there was already a motion made.
No motion.
So I'll make a motion, and then hopefully my colleague will second.
I can second it.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you both. We've got a motion and a second. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to just make a slight amendment to the County of San Diego Sustainability Vision and Goals. It's Attachment A. I know it's kind of deep in the weeds here, but it's Attachment A. And it's Section 3. It's about transition to a green, carbon-free economy with reduced greenhouse gas emissions and to support green job creation. Basically, this is on transportation portion. And it's 1, 2, 3, bullet 4 under 3 of attachment A says to invest in mass transit and shift away from internal combustion personal transport. Both of which I'm fine with investing in mass transit, but and shifting away from internal combustion transport. I'm also a big proponent of roads, but what I'd like to see added in there, because I did hear a lot of talk about county buildings and county, and staff and things like that in the departments. But what I would like to add in this, after it says invest in mass transit, I'd like to add an infrastructure for clean emission and vehicles and shift away from internal combustion personal transport. So just adding in the investing in infrastructure for clean emission vehicles. And I'd like to see that, brought to roads and things like that we take care of throughout the county so that the infrastructure is potentially in place. It's for those particular roads, for charging stations, whatever, for Wi-Fi, whatever it is that these roads are going to need to handle and manage, I guess, electric vehicles that talk to each other and all the other technology that goes in. So I just want to add those words with invest in transit and the infrastructure for clean emission vehicles and shift away from the internal combustion personal transport. That would be my amendment to the motion.
So we've got a friendly amendment proposed in A, Section 3, Bullet 4, to add, not to strike anything, but to add infrastructure for clean emission vehicles. Let me ask the maker and seconder if they're comfortable adding infrastructure for clean emission vehicles.
Yeah, I'm sure we can add it. I don't think there's a problem, but it's also on the next item that we're going to talk about too. What do you think, Supervisor Lawson?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it matters. It's redundant, so sure.
Okay, there we go. We got it in there twice.
Thank you. Well, I'll take it on as many items as I can get it. Thank you.
All right. We got a motion and a second to approve the recommendations in agenda item 15 with the amendment of infrastructure for clean emission vehicles in A, Section 3, Bullet 4 being added. Not seeing any additional comments or requests to speak. Let me ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Aye.
Supervisor Desmond.
Aye.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas, aye.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher, aye.
That motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting aye.
All right, we're going to break for lunch. We will reconvene at 1 p.m. sharp. We will see you all back here at 1 p.m. Have a good lunch.